Stream's up, by the way.
Florida man.
Is Florida bad for that? Like, the bath salt's really the thing down there?
Well,
It's
just
pretty much fucking everything. It
But
depends
it's like
on
the running
location.
joke, right? You hear some crazy ass story, it's like first thought is, oh, was that in Florida?
Really? I am out of the
all
loop.
the articles. It's a meme at this point where it always starts with a Florida man. A
Right.
Florida man was on bath salts.
Oh no, those
and ate
Floridian
the face
men.
off 3 different people. It's like, oh god.
Oh, I remember, what was it? I read a story, and I saw the footage too. It was like on a sunny street, so maybe it was Florida, but it was like a guy who was fighting off 3 police officers while masturbating, and he was naked in the middle of the fucking intersection.
I mean, gun
That's
to
like
my
a
head,
classic Florida.
You asked me where that takes place. 100% Florida. 100%.
So it's like,
Florida
that's
man brings
50%?
gator into liquor store. That was just a couple of months ago.
Wasn't it like I saw one yesterday? It was like Florida man admits to fucking miniature pony or something like that. Like this completely fucking outrageous shit, dude. Florida is just, it really is the swamp of America.
And then the rest of the population is like old people who've retired, right? It's just like
100%. There's no middle ground of sanity. It's old people and fucked up retards.
Imagine
Stuff
that.
for them to talk about a coffee the next day, right? Did you see the story about that naked guy in the street?
The world's going to shit, gal.
You and your wife of 30 years haul your 80-year-old ass into the car and you're driving down to play some fucking, I don't know, what's that? It's like bocce ball or something. And along the way you see a fucking grown man fighting off 2 police officers with his dick in his hands.
Oh, into the bath salts again, they were.
Yikes.
Back in our day, people just smoked marijuana like civilized people.
Ashley, you there?
God damn, girl.
I'm here.
Calling in hot from the basement.
From the basement.
Are you in an air hangar?
Yeah, there's some echo game going on.
You can hear me, yeah. That's the point.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad.
Damn,
I
she
think
got sassy.
No, no,
Oh,
real
like, I
quick.
can hear you through. I'm like, yeah.
one disguised in
Okay.
bull costume allegedly tried. What the fuck?
Look at those 2 men and tell me they're not from Florida.
Allegedly tried to burn down ex-boyfriend's home with spaghetti sauce.
They look like Oblivion NPCs.
They do! They fucking do! Hit randomize on the generator and that's what you get. My god, it's the hero of Kvatch!
Just
Yeah,
imagine
I
their
do
faces
this.
like going through all the emotions as you do like the Oblivion. Like,
Yeah, the persuasion minigame.
Oh my god. Fucking imagine, I gotta feel bad for imagine being a pizza delivery driver. You're just making your way through the streets and these 2 fuckers are standing in the road. It'd take me 4 hours as well.
It's hot sauce. It's gotta burn it down.
You could tell any story for being late to a pizza delivery mission, and if you're in Florida, that's believable. You're like, well, I did get up to your house, but a man in a Godzilla costume chased me away, and I had to call the cops. And you're like, oh yeah, that's Greg. He's been on the neighborhood block for a while. Well, I think we are all here. Good to start, shall we?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
We'll do
I'm
a Florida-inspired session tonight.
As we burn down those fucking Yuan tea.
Right, yeah, who the no? What are you guys doing anyway? So it's good to have you all back. Welcome to another game of Skyfall 5e. Met yesterday for some crazy shit, and now you've gotten a ton of loot, and have hopped into the ship, and it looks like you're not really sure what to do with yourselves, so I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. You're all bundled into Herald there, with enough juice to maybe make about 4 to 8 jumps, and there's a whole bunch of different leads you could pursue. talk of genocide and the mass nuking of snake people to travel up towards the northern cold, or maybe going after Chow, but who knows how. We'll find out this time. So, with that, I leave it to you. You're all bundled into the spaceship. What do you guys want to do?
Well, I think the next step might be to head to Soulsland, no? See what information we can find this Mr. Chow.
Well, we already know that Mr. Chow's not in Soulsland. That's what put us in jail, technically.
Yes,
Hmm.
certainly. But I don't see that we have any other leads we could follow.
Tidge.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need your help here. Do you remember those notes that we read in the basement before we were arrested?
Make for me a history roll, please, Tidge.
You got it. Help me,
Hey!
Yes.
I don't know why I expected just garbage.
That's...
because it ended right on his token.
Oh, yeah! Because the last thing I was looking at was Calyx's face.
24.
Okay, I would say, yeah, you remember them pretty well. You hadn't thought of them for the last little while, given the craziness of the events, but you can recall their information. In table talk, I will try and fill in the blanks where I can.
Yeah.
But it was a little while ago.
I have them all written out.
Thank
I have
you,
them
sir.
all written.
Mine was
Bless
pretty
you,
lame,
sir.
I think.
Bless you.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm
So
gonna
the
regale
really
you
s-
all in Calyx voice.
The really spicy one first.
Mhm.
I'm off to the portal. It's time I focus on the ritual now that the ingredients are all gathered up. Getting that golden relic was a nightmare. I hate jungles.
That was one of the things we found in Chow's basement. And then I had
That sounds
done...
suspiciously like the temple in the jungle, and you're a golden dart, though.
I mean, it would certainly seem that way. Back
The
in
moment
our
that you
puzzle
say that,
box.
Cold Coat, two of your party members disappear, and in the place of one of them, Annabelle appears.
Oh,
Well, I hope we can still fly the ship without the captain.
can't.
Wait, where am I?
You find
This
yourself
is
in a
the herald.
spherical room made of metal, it seems.
Don't look at. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, we normally show up in the place that we left. Is that correct? Shadow, I swear to fuck. Go.
Get her, Shadow!
He. Ugh. Go lay down.
It's best
You're
dog.
driving me nuts.
Yeah, you normally reappear where you had left off. This is probably the first time that's happened that you reappeared somewhere that was different. And when you come back to it after a brief moment of darkness, you're in a completely different spot. Your party is mostly here. In fact, the newcomers here too, about half of them have remained. But you're in a completely different environment. To describe it to you, it's a big spherical room. And there are 3 panels with like blinking lights and strange symbols on them. And behind that, a basin of like a glowing fluid. But everybody seems to be pretty at home here, just kind of sitting around with the bedrolls and whatnot and contemplating what to do. It's like you've showed up in the middle of a team huddle.
Is there a mattress that looks anything like what I took from?
No. There's no premium beds here in the spaceship.
Well, this is a. Right, where did it take me then?
Well, this is our ship. This is Harold.
You hear a voice suddenly that comes from the walls themselves, and it speaks to you and says, "Hello, my name is Harold."
Oh, that's creepy.
Might I know your name?
Oh my. Do I tell him my name? Anna?
It's good to meet you, Anna.
Annie? whatever. I've got so many names. Oh, I'm so whatever. Fuck it. I don't care. Keep going. Go away.
It's like when you have a bunch of nerds playing a game, and then that weird kid enters the room, and all the heads turn, and then they all kind of like turn back to what they're doing.
No, it's like having kids or Tourette's. You literally sit. You just say random words, like in the middle of a conversation. It's great.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, nice to meet you, guy in the wall. Out of character.
I'm gonna be looking
Have a
at
day, guys. My
Annie a bit
brain's fried.
oddly. Right. Okay, so it definitely seems like Chow was the one that stole your dart.
Yes.
Notes seem to confirm it. Kalik, Tidge,
When-
you guys seem convinced that he's not going to be in Soulsland. Is there anything else pointing towards where he might be?
Yeah, he said he was heading to the ritual site, and I thought we determined that the ritual site was near the labyrinth jungle. Is that right?
That's what I thought. I mean, we had the... I mean, at least we found the teleportation scroll that leads there.
Is both the dart and the ritual site in the labyrinth jungle, or was it just the dart?
Maybe it was
We
just the dart.
He found the dart already.
In the jungle. That's where we were told it would be. That's where Erlabald confirmed the dart was originally housed. That's why they were there in the first place.
Tidge, do you remember how there was optional ingredients for this ritual?
Yeah, this superior weapon of sharpened gold was what they had mentioned. One of the optional ones. I don't remember quite what it was swapped in for, but that was one of the
That sounds
things
awfully
that
like a
Paul
golden
Reed
dart.
certainly does.
Okay,
So,
so
Mr. Chow is going to use this ingredient for his ritual.
and there's
whatever
no
that
mention
may be.
of where the ritual site is.
Maybe it's some stupid instrument. Wasn't held about music and stuff. Right? Okay.
God
Nothing?
damn it.
Okay.
You sound a bit far away, and there's an echo, Ash, which is why.
No, it's good because you guys are all on the ship. It would, you know, it's
It
more
would
accurate.
sound really
Like you're in a
metallic.
missile silo.
Yeah, I'm trying to make out. Yeah, I'm trying
It
to make
sounded
out
good when you were
saying.
yelling at your dog.
Yeah, I'm sure it
Yell at your dog some more.
Anyways, what did you say, Ash?
Oh, I'll be right back. Food has arrived. I'll be just like 2 minutes. But
Okay.
continue the chit chat if you wish there.
I don't remember what I said. My brain is fried, I said earlier. It's like done. Today was a shit show. My thinker is thinked out. I said something about it is nonsense. It didn't make any sense. I do remember what I said. Okay, so I said maybe it's like a stupid instrument, but I said it in an accent. I don't remember repeating an accent. I'm about to shove food in my mouth.
Right.
And then I said, he's all about music, right? Am I right? And then nobody responded.
Oh,
Well, no, Mr. Chow is inclined to use musical instruments that we know, but that doesn't point towards a ritual site.
Maybe
Why
if
do
we
you
can't
sound
find
far
Mr.
away?
Chow, maybe Celestine.
I mean, for some reason we had it. Pretty
Because
much had
the
him
notes-
pinned to the to the labyrinth jungle.
Right, but
The
I'm not
portal is actually not to the
Maybe-
labyrinth jungle. It's to
Yeah, maybe it's not
Sildshot.
not to the jungle itself. Yeah.
Well,
Is that a city in the? I don't see it on the map over.
I believe it's the city southwest of the labyrinth jungle. I mean, Tidge, originally we didn't know what Chow's purpose was in the
Oh,
jungle,
it's
but
the con.
Erlebal and Kolko did confirm that the dart was housed there. So now we know he went to the labyrinth jungle, got the dart before they did, and now we're trying to determine where he went after that. He describes it as a ritual site, but that's all we know.
Oh, I was mistaken. Then I thought that the the
Table
dart
talk.
came from.
I am remembering that right, guys. Coco Erlebal.
I think
Yes.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna see if Evolution could put like our map markers on this one, because then it would just show. But yeah, over here in
Okay. I thought you guys got that, or were looking for that in the Wan Ti jungle.
No,
that's why I was
we've
confused.
been at 2 jungles.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I was trying to RP like to clarify, because I kind of suspected that. But anyways, all right.
For the sake of brevity,
yeah,
Caleb, probably Tej and I would go through the notes, what we can remember of them, just so you guys know as well.
Mhm.
The first one said, "I hate boat rides through the storm wall, no less." The next one says, "One of the groups is missing, vanished," says the angel. "I'm," and then it cuts off.
Oh,
And the next one is, "It's been a long time since I heard from a June. Maybe they finally got him. I might have to use the spell." Next one, a few. Go ahead.
Speaking of the angel, was that what context
Celestine.
was that? All right.
There's a couple more references. "A few thousand gold here and there, still the great souls live. Perhaps I have to take care of them myself. Though if Celestine is right, I'll have no easy task." The next one was, "A June will take care of the librarian. He's already taken most of his temples by fire. That meddlesome aspirant will soon be off my tail." The next one is, "I suspect our friend is up to something. He's not the only one who can scry." Then I said the portal one. And then the last is, "Reed says his demons have captured a full group, but I'm not sure I believe him."
Well, the
And
group disappeared.
That's everything we would know.
The group that disappeared was referring to us when we removed the amulet she gave us that was tracking us.
Should we get rid of our net?
No, it's a specific amulet that she gave when we first worked with her in the Yuan Ti jungle.
they're not referring to the message amulets. They're referring to
Okay.
Celestine's amulets.
you
but,
also cannot be scryed on in Herald in our ship.
This
which
is
is good, because Mr. Chow's note is pretty clear. Though if Celestine is right, I'll have no easy task of it, which means they've been communicating and working together. Sorry to break that to you. I know you originally thought she meant well, but it seems like she was playing your group since the very beginning.
Did you
Well,
speak to
this
Celestine
confirms.
about this?
Go on.
About which?
Did you speak to Celestine about this dart?
I don't know. It might have come up. Earl does talk about it quite a bit, right, Earl?
I do frequently speak of it, though at the time I did not know the location, or at least I did not mention it to her.
Because it's abundantly clear Mr. Chow had connections with Celestine. Celestine could have pointed Mr. Chow in the direction of the dart itself.
Well, that could have been the case. I got the information of the dart's whereabouts from Fovechi, our contact within Fossanax.
I mean,
That's the name of that city.
if we're going to Soulsland, I mean, maybe we can find someone in the tower that could use that might be able to either scry on it or maybe locate the object. Because if we know that, or if we can assume that a Chow has the dart, then we could probably find him that way. As long as he hasn't destroyed it
That is
already.
true.
Do such spells exist? I'm not. Well, I throw darts. I'm not exactly a mage.
Favechi was able to scry. I don't know to what powers, but at least in some capacity. Not as much as the Wizards of Soulsland, I would assume.
It's not something that I'm capable of, but I have heard of it. I mean, it's been done to us. I mean, we have.
Erlebald, are you intimately aware of the details of the dart?
I know of its power. I know of its ability. But specifics on something that may help us track it is lost to me.
Nothing on its appearance, then, other than its material being gold.
Oh, it is gold. It's, well, as a dart would be, not the most detail. I've heard many stories from my father of it.
Well, I mean, if the party is in agreement, it seems like we're going to Soulsland. Maybe not for the original purpose we intended, but for something else.
Something that, well, it is an option, though I would not recommend it. We could move outside of Herald with the amulets that were tracking us previously, establish communication with Celestine. Don't know how dangerous or how bad of an idea that would be, so I'm not going to recommend it. But it's something to keep in mind that we have at least some form of communication with her.
Well, I have to say, as a tactician on the battlefields, luring an enemy into a trap after they feel they've lured you into their own, an effective strategy, especially if Celestine's hubris and confidence within herself blinds her even temporarily. She might suspect 3 or 4 of you and end up with all of us combined. Now,
Did you leave Celestine on a good note?
Oh yes, we left as mercenaries of Celestine, as she put it.
She helped us get back to the city when we were in the middle of Yuan-Ti jungle.
What about the ichor? We know it's an ingredient she required. What if we lured her in with that?
But that note says they have the ingredients, did it not?
I believe it says that it's one of the ingredients. Let me...
No, that one of the notes from
I
Chow.
believe Mr. Chow said they had all the ingredients.
Right, but what if he's trying dupe her too? Maybe he wants to do his own ritual that doesn't have anything to do with her either.
It's possible, but
There did seem to be some distrust between these members, whoever they are.
Do you suppose that Celestine could be some sort of inside, I don't know, man on the inside, or woman rather? Maybe a double agent of some sort?
I think that's the first thing they would suspect, especially from an angel.
Yes, it is hard to believe an angel is bad, but we've seen the
Well,
evidence on both sides.
Keep in mind, it's not necessarily that she's bad or she's good. Her perspective might be warped. I mean, we came across Defender-1, a simulacrum much like sorry, his name's escaping, Mackinac. And despite all the logic and reason and experience, he was convinced of a fallacy. Angels sometimes may believe, if this is for the betterment of mankind, that the end result justifies the means. For her, it could just be a twisted conquest to eradicate more evil than good if she believes that evil outnumbers good within this world.
I suppose if
she could just be batshit crazy, I suppose.
well, if you wanted to plan for either way, like Eros said, with the way to potentially contact her, perhaps lure her not into well, I guess it would be a trap, but see if there's any way to save her or change her mind, and if not, well, goodbye, 1T, City, and Celestine.
My only concern would be that we know little of Celestine's power. We don't know if she could snap her fingers and make us go away if she saw us. I am concerned that we are poking a bear.
What season is it? She would be the most powerful in the summer.
We're leading up to it, I believe.
Oh, Hello likes poking bears.
In a sense, yes.
The only thing I have to consider, and Erlebald, you make an excellent point, we don't want to go in blind. I mean, even if there's 15 of us, if she's certainly powerful enough, she can dispatch of us fairly quickly. However, if she's cooperating with these people, despite distrust, that tells me that they're on some kind of equal footing in terms of capability. Otherwise, why would she need their help at all? Why put herself in that position to distrust people she needs to rely on? Tells me that if we were able to dispatch of a June, then we should be able to dispatch of one of his, I won't say companions, but fellow agents might be a fair word to use.
Well, my concern with that, and I hate that we have to go on hypotheticals, but Celestine may have some other limiting factor to her ability that is not based off of her power. She had the potential and the ability to eradicate Yuan Ti. I still, to this day, do not know why she enlisted our help. Maybe it was because we were great souls. Maybe it was because she can't directly intervene. Regardless, such limitation might not be off power, but off of something different to her being. Either way, should we continue this conversation on the road to Soulsland?
I think that's a fair, observation. I mean, we don't want to unleash something that we don't have to.
Yes, Celestine is a side note at this moment, because we know Mr. Chow has something to complete some kind of ritual, and I can't imagine it's anything good.
Right.
I think a key component is this teleport scroll. Harold, if one of the members of your crew were to use this, would you be able to track them?
You're asking him if he can track if somebody uses a teleport scroll?
If he knows like the location of his like Catman Robotics, if he can tell where they go.
Oh, like keep track of where the party is at any time?
If we teleported, would he be able to know where we are in the world?
Yeah. After a pause there, Harold says, "No, my sensors are damaged. Unfortunately, I can't do that. If they're repaired, though, I could see to monitoring people across the plane."
Dominic said something about being able to scan. Do you think that maybe scanning the, what happens when he does that? Like, if we were to put this scroll in there, do you think he'd be able to tell where it leads to? And then maybe from there?
I think he might only know what the information the scroll says.
Yeah.
About it. See, he could scan a lot better before we ended up with our little sidetrack. If we went to Vossonix, he could potentially repair.
So,
Solsland would be able to answer your question about the scroll, I imagine.
so to be clear, you have a scroll that you recovered from Chow's house, and you don't know where it goes?
No, I already know where it goes. It goes to Sildshaw.
Right.
I was wondering if I put it in there, if he'd be able to figure out its destination sort of the same way that I did.
Hmm.
So what information do we still need in Soulsland? Maybe find a way to track, if not the dart, then maybe we just Chow himself.
Yes, I guess just any way to find Chow is what we're trying to.
Thought
Trying
might
to
be
get
the
to.
easiest way.
Yeah, mentioning Chow might be a problem, though. We're already red flagged in Solsland because of our affiliation with, well, not affiliation, but rather our breaking and entering into his home. If we go across the School of Solsland mentioning his name again, we might find ourselves right back in jail. So I think Earlbald's point is best. Let's at least walk towards Solsland. We have several days to strategize and think about exactly what we want to do, but time is of the essence. We don't know who's going to be popping in and out as of late. It seems more unstable than ever.
It is strange to me that 2 of our party members were traded for your 1.
Speaking of which, I'll hand her the sword.
Ah.
I'm being at him. Right? Just because I'm worth more.
Grumbles in dart speak. Okay, so you guys go ahead, and after having made this these preliminary plans, decide to hit the road and get over towards Solsland. The weather is... Oh,
I would do something real quick before. I would leave a note in the barracks where I slept initially, just outside of Harold,
sure.
with a pouch of 20 gold
Okay.
and a note talking about, well, basically just leaving instructions to clear the estate, start hiring whoever you need on the Lyle credit, and trying to get everything back in order, and that I would touch base with them as soon as possible.
Okay. You go ahead and write out this note, and I'd like you to make a persuasion roll, given that you would probably have some relationship with Roswell, and would be able to try and kind of angle your words to convince him if he does end up back here.
I believe my persuasion is +6. Yes, so that's a 17.
17. Okay. So you write out the note as best you can, and post it in the barracks. Time will tell if it yields anything, but if you're lucky, maybe you'll be able to get the estate back up and running.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. After that, you guys decide to hit the road. And stepping outside, it is still, once again, just pouring rain and terrible thunder in the distance. And you guys decide to make off for the city. It's probably going to be a couple of days, though given the weather like this, it might be a little bit more trying. Time will tell. I do, however, need you guys to make your injury rolls as you travel along. It takes 2 days for you to get into Solsland. Along the way, you presumably do some strategizing here and there. So if you want to do a little bit of table talk or something, be my guest, but make those injury rolls now.
Can I make...
Oh.
Give me my AC.
Can I spend 4 third-level spells to uncure wounds? Whatever injury.
Sure, yep. So you guys get to make 2 for each day, so it's 4 in total. Make 4
it's like
checks.
having Linery again.
Mhm.
Oh boy.
Oh.
I just want my AC back. Come on, give it to me.
Is Earl the only cripple in the group?
So,
I-
so
3
last one.
injuries. I have 3 injuries.
what's gonna happen right here? No.
Unbelievable.
I would have asked Kalik if he'd be willing to maybe try and get in touch with Barjarger, see if he'd be willing to scry on Chow, if he even knew him.
Hmm. Well, you could do that.
Did he use the 4 cure wounds there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, is that all?
For me?
That's all you had for? Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, it might be something to think
So
of.
on the next day, yeah, I'll ask.
Okay. Soulsland eventually comes about, and there the tower seems like a horrible lightning rod kind of piercing out of the center of the city. And when you guys get up towards the gates, there's a moment where a guard steps over towards you and calls for you to halt. And as he does so, he steps up and looks at you guys knowingly. And he addresses you first, Edgar. And he says, Mr. Lyle?
Guards, how are you?
Good. What business do you have in the city?
Well, we've handled some affairs at the estate, and we just wanted to simply patronize someone within the tower, for we require some services, specifically from someone talented.
He nods. Good enough for me. And he kind of scribbles something down on some parchment using a large hood as a way to keep the rain off the paper. He says, well, don't cause any trouble in the city now. And he kind of looks at the rest of you guys and gives you a stern nod and then goes back to his post. The gates open up and you guys make your way into the city. The streets are rainy, but there are plenty of people here and there underneath the awnings. You can see folks sitting on the benches chatting, or carriages moving through the rain and the muddy streets. It is probably about midday right now as you guys make your way in after 2 days of travel.
The tower and the spire are the same thing.
Yes.
Okay, and that the spire's the college, right? Or not
Yes, the
but
college
it's
is
like,
contained within it.
okay, so it's like all there, and then the Inquisition's in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they like to keep things close, right? So.
I can either go with you in the tower, but or meet up with you later. I do need to quickly take at least one of these gold bars, liquidate it into some coin we can use, and if possible, forge my holy symbol into this new shield I have.
Well, I don't know if I speak for the party, but I prefer to have you as the speaker for hiring these services.
Well, let's make a quick stop over at that Rasan place. If he was there when Mr. Chow was there, he might know something. Worth checking if I'm here.
Okay, well, I'm not sure. Well, the blacksmith should be within the guild section of the city, I believe, so that might be along the way.
Sure.
And I guess I'll, knowing the party wants to stick together, I'll guide them towards, I guess, is there like a guild section of the city? I felt like there was, right, when you described it?
Yeah, most of the major trades, especially when it comes to building, are clustered together, and you decide to kind of take the group over there. It's a minor detour of a few minutes in one direction. And,
okay, cool.
Going through the muddy streets, you eventually pull in towards this area, filled with shops and warehouses, people who are less so driving caravans with passengers and more so caravans with like large stacks of timber behind them and such. It's clear that this is the place where you're supposed to be. Now, having, lived in Soulsland for quite a while, or at least proximally to it, Edgar, you're able to point out this little quarter where there's a bunch of the stonemason houses, and it doesn't take you long to nail down the one that has the symbol that you're looking for there, Colcoat. As you're staring at all of these, one of the family crests is clearly the one that was left on the chisel, and you guys find yourselves standing in front of a building. It's not the best, but it's not the worst here. It looks like a reputable establishment of some kind, and as you'd expect from stoneworkers, the actual place where they work out of is like a beautiful stone-made building. It's like very old, but not in an outdated kind of way,
Mm-hmm. Colcoat, Erlebald, you might want to go in without us. We should try, as a party, to stick far away from anything related to Chow. Considering we've been flagged as someone already interested in him, so, I don't think you need for me to make an introduction. I would just say, if I can offer a suggestion, keep things vague. Let the chisel and the description of the character work for you. Let him come to the conclusion that it's Chow, if anyone, and get what you need, and pay the man if you need to keep him quiet. We don't want him talking to the Inquisition.
Well, I think we can handle this, and I'll tip my little crown back.
Oh no!
I'll do like a short courteous bow to Colcoat, like just a bow of the head.
All right, Earl, let's go get some info.
Right. Yeah, easy peasy. We got this.
Okay. The two of you turn from the group, making your way over towards the house. There's a large, sort of rustic wooden door here attached to the stone frame, and you guys make your way in. And it's calm and soothing in here. There's a warmth as a fire burns in the hearth near the back end, and a large counter at which you can see what looks to be a couple of tradespeople talking. And over at the other end of the counter, closer towards you and the door, is a man maybe in like his 30s or 40s, and he's got a big apron on and a couple of pieces of parchment in his hand that he's kind of flitting over. And when you come in through the door, there's like a bit of a ring as a bell is jostled, and he looks up towards you and gives you guys a wave, and then kind of looks back to his parchment.
Well, we'll head up to this guy.
Sure. He looks at you all and kind of gives you guys a brief bow, and he says, "What can I do you for?"
All right, so as a proprietor myself, and one that works with tools, like, I don't know if you got like favorite tools, like you live and die by those tools. So I want to see if this guy's getting any reaction.
Talk to them and shit.
So just like, are you the one in charge here of the Rasan family?
He nods, and give me 2 seconds. There we go. He says, name's Emmett Rasan. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you. I am Colcoat. This is Earl. Let me ask you, friend. And I'm gonna pull the chisel out, kind of spin it in my fingers, and then show it so that he sees his symbol on it.
Mm-hmm.
You have been in any jungles lately?
He kind of chuckles to himself and looks at this thing and turns to you and he says, "What do you mean?"
What kind of reaction was this? Does he seem...
Oh, make an insight check.
Is it like a nervous chuckle, or is it like, what the fuck are you talking about?
He's pressing the panic button underneath the desk. Or just reaching for the 12 gauge.
It's 17.
Okay. When he says this, you think that he's genuinely confused by the question and doesn't really know what you're getting at. And just kind of reacts to it with laughter more than anything. And he says, "My work keeps me around the city most times. Sorry, I'm not sure what you two are looking for."
Oh, this tool. This is. Do you make tools, or this is one that would be used here?
Yeah, he takes it and looks at the thing, and he says, "Yeah, it's definitely one of mine."
Wonderful.
Do you make tools?
He nods to you, and he says, "Yep, do a whole bunch of sales all over the city."
As this is a common one, I assume.
Well, this kind of chisel here, let me see. And he kind of like turns it over in his hand. And he actually points a couple things out to you, and he shows you like the just how steep the incline is on the edge of the metal towards the business end of the chisel there. And he says, this isn't for any engraving or anything like that. More of like a, like a stage 1 chisel. They're doing a lot of heavy rock removal.
Now, if someone had bought this, it probably would have been with a lot of other equipment to traverse a jungle, climb a temple,
I'm gonna make a
tunnel
roll.
through the ceiling of a rock.
He looks at you and he says, what was your names again there?
Colcoat.
I'm Earl.
Earl, Colcoat. Look, I'm a pretty straightforward man, and I get the feeling that you're sort of dancing around something. So, why don't we just be out with it here, and you tell me why you've come in with one of my tools. If you need something repaired, or you got questions, then give them to me, but I don't do well with this kind of guesswork that you're doing.
Oh, alright. I found this tool in the Labyrinth Jungle, Temple,
Never heard of that
Golden
place.
Dart, and I need to know who had it.
Or at least if you could figure out what time it was sold, any details about it.
He nods for a second. He says, I see. And he looks at you guys and kind of goes over your equipment for a moment, right? Like he does the once over. And then he turns over and says, you don't exactly look like city guard. Who's asking?
People with money, with reason, and most importantly, with money. We can pay for this information.
He shakes his head. He says, no. You're not buying this out of me. He says, the Rasan family is known for being honorable in this town. We stick to it. We do good work.
Yes.
I'm not gonna just go and throw around information for coin.
Well, sir, we own a business called Catman Robotics ourselves in Vossanax. Machinery repair, things like that. We just want to find who was using this tool. They desecrated my friend Earl's family temple by breaking into it, and well, we're trying to track them down.
Make a persuasion roll for me.
Use that crown. Use
Wow.
that crown.
Does the crown give you advantage?
Oh, don't fall over to the
Imagine if it just kept going and gradually went to the 1.
It's a 13 at least.
Yo.
He crosses his arms and leans backwards a bit, and he says, well,
Oh, I'll show him my chisel with the mark on it if it helps persuade that I actually am a craftsman of sorts.
Look, I'd like to help, but I don't know you two from Jack. I haven't heard of this Catman Robotics, no offense or anything, but I don't know if I'm comfortable giving out that kind of thing. No. Here, customer information's not exactly confidential, but I don't really feel like giving it out to any bloke off the street. Now, what I can tell you is this here's well, definitely one of ours, from the looks of it. Probably made recently. But you're gonna have to give me something better than that if you want me to keep flapping my gums about this thing.
What do you think, Earl? Should we give him the whole spiel?
Well, if he refuses money, then probably honorable. On the other hand, he could be dishonorable. It's a toughie. I think we should tell him.
Have you ever heard of a Mr. Chow?
He pauses for a second, and he says, maybe I have.
Well, we've got information that he might be up to some evil plan, some crazy ritual. You know, death, destruction, evil guy kind of stuff.
He pauses
Trying
for
to
a
stop
second. He
him.
says, you're talking about the teacher, aren't you? Works at
I guess so.
academy there in the tower?
Yes, apparently. I've never met him.
I can say with confidence that he is the one that ransacked my ancestral home. Whoever this figure is, he's immensely powerful. It has just gained a relic of my people that would increase his power tenfold if he would only drop his silly flute and actually throw darts. Regardless.
What's this temple you speak of? Are you a religious family or something?
In a sense, but not gods. We are Wilhelms. We worship a specific path in life.
His eyes narrow like he's trying to get to the point.
The point being that if you know of this Mr. Chow, and you feel that there is anything suspicious, anything that might convince you that he could be up to something that would be less than stellar, I'd ask just for you to tell us if there's any way that your tool came into his hands.
He looks at the two of you, and after pondering for a moment, seems to come to the conclusion that you're not looking for, and he says, "Sounds like a bunch of crazy talk to me. No offense to the two of yous, but I'm seeing a whole lot of stories is what I'm hearing, and not seeing a lot of evidence."
Colcoat, do you have any evidence to speak of, or are we just wasting our time?
I don't really have anything, just my snaky stick. And my little good luck idol. That's about it.
Should we just...
Mackinac has everything.
Oh, what about your sword? Oh, that's Mackinar's sword.
Oh, hey, look at Earl's armor. This came out of that magical temple. See, we're not full of crap.
Earl
how
holds
nice
up
it
a
is.
dart and just like fills it with bursting dart, so it's like, you know, pulsating. It has a faint orange glow. Just in any attempt to convince them that
No, your
something-
armor. You're wearing magical armor from a temple. Look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Make a luck
This is-
roll, please.
I feel like we're fucking grasping at straws here.
Oh, you fucking are. That's why you're making a luck roll.
Oh!
You make a pose there and whatnot, and kind of hold up a dart, and he kind of scratches at his chin for a second. He says, "The symbols on that armor look kind of familiar. What family were you from again?"
Wilhelm.
He just kind of pauses and looks at the two of you.
Well, I'm going to be honest here with you. I'm not too sure of anything I could say or do that would convince you that our path is not one of lies and story made up to gain information that is apparently non-confidential.
Earl just sort of looks over to Colco, like, what do we do it here?
I guess if he doesn't want to tell us, I've got nothing else. Look
Time for
at
an
it.
interrogation.
If just remember when Mr. Chow is raining death from the sky upon you, had the chance.
He furrows his brow for a second and says, "Are you threatening me?"
I'm not. Mr. Chow is going to.
I think we're done here, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Earl just
his
walks
tool
out.
was not that great anyway, Zero.
Oh.
You can see him hold his tongue there as he kind of like, you know, he has the stack of papers in his hands and does like the, you know.
Well, my word.
Let's go, Arrow.
Okay.
Yeah, Earl just walks out.
You guys are standing out here underneath the awning. The door opens, creaking open, and the two of them come out.
Well, bit of the old good news, bad news. The good news is, he seems honorable enough, and just thought we were crazy people, so I doubt he'll say anything. Bad news is, he didn't tell us anything, and we wasted time. There's some give and take there, but all in all, mission failure.
Huh. Well,
We should have
alright.
just said we were guards. Jeez. He just wouldn't give us anything. He thought we were just two people off the street. This
Some of these
nobility
guild-
thing is not as easy as I thought it would be.
You didn't have a horse.
If Dominic was here, he could just, look at my magic spells.
Right. Well, you know, some of these guild artisans are proud. It is what it is. Sometimes they're protective of their clientele.
Well, where does that leave us? What should we do now? Move to the tower?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you guys think or if you have any suggestions, but I think the information from the Wilhelm house was not Wilhelm, sorry. What's the artisan's family name again?
Rasan.
Right. So information from the Rasan family was a like to have, not a need to have. I think if we move on, quickly stop by the blacksmith or stop by any other artisan houses if you need any equipment. I guess we can move on to the school from there.
Wonderful. Let's get a move on.
Can I insight check Erlebald? Does he seem like super disappointed in the way that turned out up there?
I mean,
I
I
you
think the
can
vibe would be
tell.
that like we think that he knows stuff, but he just doesn't want to tell us.
Yeah, Earl's like, this is just not. I don't give a shit about this. This is not my field. I throw darts, not talk. I mean, he's very clearly giving off that vibe that he is out of his element here.
well, are you guys leaving the Rasan house empty-handed?
All right, give me a moment. If you guys don't mind. I'll kind of just crack my neck here a little bit, adjust my collar, and clunk, clunk, clunk my way up.
Okay. In a suit of plate mail, you make
as
your
he
way
goes
through the
in-
door. Oh,
As he goes in, I'll tap his shoulder and cast what's it? Enhanced ability for charisma.
okay. You make your way in there, Edgar, and see the same thing I described. But now, instead, it looks like the two people aren't really chatting. There's just one person here up at the counter. And he's got some papers there that he's going over, and he looks grumpy. and you get a sense of how the last interaction must have gone. And he looks up at you when the door comes, and you know the little ring of the bell goes off, and he says, "Hello there."
I'll kind of soften my features and kind of beam him a half smile here. Hi, and I'll stick out my hand. Edgar Lyle.
He says, "Oh, thank you for coming into the shop, my lord. What brings you today?"
Well, two things. First is I've just gotten control of my estate after some family infighting, we'll say. And there's some mason work and repair to be had, so I just wanted to pick your brain real quick about that. The other is regarding my, well, rather unconventional companions that just walked out.
You see, he looks like he's all good, like he's coming out of the grumpiness, and then suddenly is, like, thrust through the storm clouds again. And he goes, if you say so, Mr. Lyle. Other contractors?
No. No, just companions. Well-meaning, after all. They have been helping me quite a bit. Look, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, Emmett's the name.
Emmett. Well, look, Emmett, I have to say, it gave me quite a chuckle seeing them come out, a little frustrated. I have to assume, you're someone who's not only proud, but, like, some of the honorable artisans here in Soulsland, may be protective of your clientele, or just straightforward and honest. Either way, the information they were looking for regarding a Mr. Chow and a chisel is quite important to us. Not because we have any really ill intent, but because Mr. Chow has been on a warpath as of late, and, well, quite frankly, he's leaving a wake of destruction and desecration behind him. So, not to give you a full story, but we'd really appreciate any help you could offer.
Make a persuasion roll, please. And the DC is going to be a little bit higher, given that the failed...
what does enhanceability give me?
I think it's advantage.
Advantage.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I didn't know it was advantage. And fuck, you're like the... Are you the paladin that gets persuasion bonuses?
Oh, not this time!
That's ass.
I only if I channel divinity. It's an 11.
Okay. He says, yeah, I heard the story. Something about a jungle and, Mr. Chow doing evil and all that.
Right.
Look, I mean, I know who the guy is. We're not friends or anything, but I've heard of him.
Right.
I just don't feel comfortable giving out, that kind of info unless there's a good reason, you know? And,
sure.
This seems a little, a little far-fetched.
Yeah, as soon as you start talking about world-ending rituals, teachers on a warpath, as I said, it might seem a little out of your element.
My dad and his dad always said to keep your nose out of trouble, and that's done the family well for a while, and, well, when your two friends came in, and what you're telling me now sounds like a whole lot of trouble.
Sure. Well, look, I'm not going to press you. Either way, I would still like to work with you on my estate. That wasn't contingent on you helping me in any way. I know you do good work, so I'd be happy to work with you either way. Really, the only information we were looking for, and nothing to put you in hot water, was just a when and a where. And the where we know is here, so a when would be more than enough. We're not, trying to figure out conversations or anything like that. We already know Mr. Chow was secretive. We already know what he used the chisel for. In fact, we already know where he went to use it. So, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to put you in a bind. Just a date of purchase would be enough. But, again, I won't push the issue.
He looks at you, and just kind of sizes you up for a second, and he says, Now, wasn't it, Wasn't it old Edwin that was head of the house there for the Lyles?
It was old Edwin, yeah.
What happened there? And you get that, like, he's weighing you pretty carefully here when he says this.
The truth? And I'll look him straight in the eyes.
He nods.
He went down a real dark path after my brother was mugged and murdered. And,
I heard about
tried
that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I maybe bear some responsibility here. I wasn't willing to come back and take up that mantle on his terms, not as unreasonable as they were. And putting him into that kind of a corner led him down a dark path. Not the path that we find here in Soulsland where people resort to crime. I'm talking about pact. The man sold his soul to keep the house alive, and it consumed him.
Well, I heard some troublesome rumors.
I imagine by some of our longtime employees, people I grew up with, people who educated me, trained me, might be murdered, might be here in hiding, might be traumatized. Look, seeing the estate crumble the way it did and the circumstances they did were hard enough. And so lies the end of Edwin, a man once honorable, now who knows where.
Well, if you need to rebuild and some damage was done, we can definitely talk that over. That old place out there in the hills, that wasn't our work, but if you can find some blueprints laying about, I'm sure we could pick up where the old builders left off and see about fixing the place up. And I'll give you a good price. I can see that your family's been through quite a bit in the last while.
Well, look, I appreciate that very much, Joe. Sorry about this chow business. I didn't mean to put you in a difficult position.
He kind of looks up and down the room. He says, "Look, the guy came in here a little while back. I don't remember when. You know, it was a few 10 days, something like that. And he just bought some gear. Didn't really say much. Seemed like a normal enough sort. You know, asked him what he was doing with it, and he just said he had some work to be done, and he paid good money for the tools. Some of them had to be made up and put together on short notice, but I didn't really get any weird feeling from him."
No, and the man has been, if you believe our story, has been tricking the school for a long time. So I imagine his facade was up and strong when he came in. And it was just typical run-of-the-mill excavation equipment, right? Nothing out of the ordinary.
He nods and he says, "But look, if any of this goes sideways, you didn't hear that from me."
Absolutely not. I mean, I'm looking to work with you, and look, I'm just... You'll find that the whole political world wasn't really for me to begin with, so I'm a man who, well, I prefer direct words than pussyfooting around the subject. If it comes up, I didn't hear it from you, and either way, I thank you so much for your time.
He extends a hand to shake with you.
Yeah, I'll shake it.
And after he shakes your hand, he says, "Well, good. Looking forward to doing some business in the future. You bring those blueprints in if you can find them, okay?"
Yeah, and if you send a letter in a week if you don't hear from me, issued to Roswell, I'm hoping, and I kind of close my eyes in almost like a half prayer, really hoping the man comes back after all he's been through. But
one of your servants?
More than that, one of those real reliable, salt of the earth type of people. So if anyone can take care of the estate while I'm gone, I'm hoping I can put my trust in him.
Well, God willing, things will turn up well. And good luck to you, Mr. Lyle.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Now you guys are out there, and the door opens, and Edgar steps back out here into the awning and all the rain around.
I'll just kind of take a pause on the upper landing here. Kind of look at the skyline, big ass smile on my face, look back down, and with a hop and a skip, go down the stairs. Okay. Well, that settles that.
Carter.
What did he say?
Of course I would. Well, it looks like I not only have a mason hired for the estate, but also he did say that Chow had come by to requisition a lot of standard excavating equipment, and I believe he said it was anywhere from a week to a few weeks from now. So it was relatively recent.
Huh.
And nothing else amiss, right? We knew Mr. Chow was a snake in the grass from the very beginning, so I very much doubt that an artisan as honest as this one would have seen through that deception. So, you know, he seemed like a very regular customer at the time.
Did Chow say anything when he was in the shop?
No, he kind of remained evasive regarding the subject of why he was using what he was using, and to be honest, these artisans aren't one to really pry. You know, they need to know the nature of the job, I'm assuming, to create tools specifically for that job, but other than that, especially coming from this gentleman right here, I doubt he asked any more questions than that.
So, how do we find Chow now? Scrying, I guess.
I would suspect that's the only thing. What I would say is if he had the amount of equipment he had, he would have had to have a team. I very much doubt Chow was doing the excavating on his own. These mage types tend to not like to get their hands dirty too much. We could look at other artisan houses that might have requisitioned that kind of labor. One going across the storm wall that far, especially in a ship, would have commanded a hefty price, but also tight lips, I'm assuming. So we might not get too far on that front. Scrying might be our best bet.
It may be important to note that the excavation was not the only way they entered the temple. There was also some form of ritual portal that portaled directly into the temple. Maybe if this is a common spell or something a specific mage would know, that could narrow it down.
Do we know if the portal was going in or out?
It was
just through a wall.
It could have been a quick escape.
Well, the actual ritual itself, we were able to see where they used the ingredients and had the berries. I don't remember what the actual ingredients were.
It was rosemary and a bunch of candles and some weird brown circle.
And you're saying this was outside of the temple rather than inside?
Yes.
Oh, I've got some of the weird paste in this little tube here.
I'll look to Kalik and Tidge. Well, if anyone can figure it out, it's either those two or Solsland, rather the teachers in the tower. But look, this is good. We're making progress. We now have a timeline, rough timeline, and we're starting to narrow down our options to scrying, which is kind of what we suspected from the beginning. But you know, let's just keep tugging at these threads. Hopefully, something will unravel.
Well, lead the way.
Okay.
Would Tidge and I have done a lot of research with just general ingredients like this while we're in the study?
God damn.
Bless you.
Ingredients like the paste that he shows?
Yeah.
You could make an Arcana roll to see if you would know what it is.
Join. I got a 26 or 24. Excuse me.
Okay.
I got a 14.
All right. Kalik, you're not really sure what this is. You know, looking at it at first, it's some sort of scraped up thing in a little vial. And, you know, like, you kind of pop the cork and give it a sniff or whatever and prod at it, but you're really not sure. But Tidge, looking at this, you're a little bit more familiar, and you think you might actually know what this is. And it's a paste made out of like some kind of berry, you think, and these kind of like paints are often used in different rituals and whatnot, and you're fairly certain that you know, this lines up with what Colcoat tells you, that this must have been like a part of the ritual to portal from one area to another. It's spent now, and there's no way that this would be usable. You would have to make it from scratch, but yeah, it does sound like that's what it would be from.
Yeah, so all of your information
were
definitely syncs up.
What were all the ingredients? We could probably figure out which spell it was within the school itself.
Well, there was some type of brazier that had rosemary in it. There was a
was a
bunch of
brazier.
candles. Yes, and a bunch of candles around it, and then that stuff was on a circle on the wall.
I would say with your 26 Tidge, you'd be familiar with this and would know that it's an unconventional short-range teleport. And similar to a teleportation spell, but not quite as far and distanced. You've heard of such things and have experienced not only like heard about them, but you've actually hired somebody in a past expedition, a wizard that was able of conjuring such things, and can remember the long hours it took for him to set up the ritual, and then eventually got you past a tough spot at one point. God bless the guy. Too bad he was eaten by that lizard.
You know, sacrifices. Yeah, no, this is these little things can come in handy in a pinch, but I mean, it's quite a grueling process. I witnessed it once before.
You could try and recreate it, but you've never done it before, so who knows if you'd actually be able to pull it off.
I mean, I'm all for trying.
It seemed like he had used that to go through the wall and attack the main chamber of the temple. But
Yeah,
I don't know why he would go through the wall and through the roof.
I mean, it's a very short-range spell. I mean, it's not like you can teleport from here to another continent or something like that. It's just boom, boom. Are you saying that it was used twice?
No,
Well,
he's saying that there were multiple points of entry, and he's wondering why
Yes.
use conventional equipment when you have the power of magic on you.
Yes, there was a hole through the roof in one place, and this teleportation circle to go through the wall at another.
Earl, was this temple known to be trapped or cursed?
Well, it wasn't known very well at all, but yes, it was trapped. There was a battle outside of the temple before they breached it.
Before? And inside, once breached, were there any dead bodies?
Yes, there were plenty.
Could be that whatever team he requisitioned for the excavation was simply cannon fodder, used to trigger any traps and fight anything on the inside. And once secure, he went in a way he preferred.
That is certainly possible. I only brought it up because if this was a more specific spell, then it could narrow our focus as to an accomplice, but seeing as it's more common, I doubt that it would lead into anything.
it's also difficult because he is a professor at a school, and even if we narrow down the, you know, the ability of, or rather the ability to, for someone to cast such a spell as a professor, well, we still know it's Mr. Chow, and it doesn't help us get any closer. So, I still think our best bet is scrying as it stands.
He did have some demons with him as well, so he must have, I guess, summoned those when he got there. I don't know how the demon summoning works.
Demon.
There was this individual named Reed who controlled demons. Maybe he had reinforcements from him.
Would I know anything as a paladin as to how someone could control or tether demons to reality and use them?
I would say that, yeah, you would know there's magics in the world that could call them into existence and bind them, but they are individuals too, and, you know, deals can be made with them just on, like, a basic level, if need be, which is part of why they're troublesome, because, like angels and whatnot, their words can be, like, magic in and of themselves.
Well, let's discuss this as we walk to the blacksmith. Maybe walking around the city will clear our minds.
So you guys make a little bit of travel around here. Where are you going? A blacksmith?
Yeah, someone reputable that I...
Okay.
Please. And could I'm sorry, I thought I wrote the mason's name again. His first, it's Emmett.
Yeah, E-M-M-I-T.
Okay, and his last name again?
R-A-S-S-A-N.
Perfect.
Now, you kind of make your way around the city, and you know that there's a little blacksmith nearby that gets a pretty good amount of work, and kind of saddle up towards there. It's really not a far walk from this district, as you might imagine, and soon you guys are standing in front of like a pretty hefty blacksmithy. There's a large roofed section that kind of extends out with no walls, and underneath that you can see a couple of forges and some different workers there. It's clear that they're quite busy, most places only having maybe 1 or 2 forges. You see 4 of them that are working, and there's a whole bunch of clanging and people shouting here and there.
Annie, you still need that rapier?
Right, yeah. Oh my god. Get out of here. Seriously, what the hell?
It's like the one time you unmute your mic, he comes for you.
Every time. Right, so Kayla can be the sword. I'm not sure what it does yet, but you know, looks pretty enough.
Okay.
I suppose I could use another sword. You can never have too many pointy ends.
Well, keep in mind, for the first time in a very long time that I can remember, we do have some funds. If any of you feel
Oh, she's not in. It's +2 magical with Keen.
Yeah, well, I think she was just RPing.
I'm in front of the... Yeah. Connor told me what it did. I'm all for the RP.
Oh, look, my magic.
That's probably the most expensive item you've ever touched. Period.
Well, I've touched Edgar. He's pretty expensive.
I flash her a white, pearly, toothy grin.
He is the head of his own estate. Quite impressive.
Recent development, and the estate was, you know, up until recently possessed by creatures that walked along walls, so don't let that influence your perspective of me.
Sold as is, where is.
The worst house flip ever.
Annie, Edgar may have inherited a bunch of debt. He may not be worth that much.
Oh, why'd you have to go bring that up, Caleb?
It might be worth less now.
I'm shaking my head.
Everyone just starts scrutinizingly looking at Edgar.
Right, so about this sword.
Well, I mean, let me go speak with the blacksmith, but I think Connor, Kayla can identify that sword for you if you need the specifics.
I wave it at
Would I have
Caleb.
already identified?
I'd say
talk?
that you have, yeah. And just kind of the way that, Annabelle had returned, you'd handed it over, but had neglected to actually mention just how crazy the sword really is.
Wars would be fought. Maybe. This sword might be good as a so-called golden dart. Maybe more powerful.
I avoid looking at Earl directly. Kayla says that.
Hadouken!
Right, but it's not gold, Caleb.
Well, if it means anything, I think you selling it could get Kalik fed for a very long time.
Well, we don't have to go jump 10 here. I kind of like hold it to my chest. I think I'll keep it.
Alright, let's just not go to Seba with you carrying that.
No, food sounds nice.
Don't stab any demon hearts with it. You wouldn't want to melt that one.
Right.
I'm laughing as I'm walking into the blacksmith at this point.
Sure. You walk in there, and the rest of you guys follow into a large, beautiful Emporium-style room with tons of armor and weapons over the walls, display dummies and things like that, all done up with chainmail, and there's plenty of people who are walking to and fro. The workers are easily distinguished by their uniforms with the smock and all that, and there's all sorts of different people here. You can see what looks like a couple of like peasant kids that are over looking at daggers on the walls, humming and hawing at them, and you can see like merchants that look like they must be outfitting small mercenary units, talking about, I'll take 10 of these, pointing at a short sword on the wall kind of thing. But there's a whole bunch of activity. And before long, somebody walks up to your group as you've made it in through the door. And you can see he's a younger gentleman, maybe like early 20s. And he says, greetings to you all. Do you need an armor polish, sir, or new weapons for your group? And he kind of like, looks you over.
An armor polish? Huh. I hadn't considered that.
It's at this moment you realize that the armor you're wearing is literally like 2 generations old, pulled out from a crypt and dragged through the worst weather imaginable. And you're like, oh yeah, I probably don't look. These Nikes could use some.
The cobwebs weren't filigree.
Yeah.
Nice. The sketchy ghouls looking over my armor. Yeah, come to think of it, that would be nice. And also, I pull out my old shield. I've come across a shield with tremendous value, and I need to put in Metri's symbol within the new one and extract it from the old.
He's nodding and writing down on a piece of paper frantically, like armor polish, inlay.
It's a rush job. It's something priority. I need it done within maybe 5 hours.
We can have the armor done up real quick. Let's see, the shield. Maybe a few hours if we push it ahead. That is going to cost extra, though.
Sure. What's the, well, first of all, I look to the rest of the group. Anything that needs taken care of?
I don't have anything that I would need from here. I do have some ideas of other things, though.
Okay. Barolo?
I can't think of anything. I could ask about the temple I have to find, but...
Well, I provided, and I look to Catman Robotics here, provided they're willing to cooperate on this front after we maybe get a heading on the Dart, that could be something we do very quickly. I don't know if the blacksmith is help you on that, but maybe just sharpening your halberd could be enough. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think you have a good idea there. It is looking a little dull.
Same as my sword. Alright, so we'll have, yeah, Annie, you?
Right, so do you have any daggers?
He nods and points behind him towards a display over there. He's like, we have quite a few, if you're looking for some.
How many?
Oh, well, this dozen on display, you know, these are just some of the nicer ones, but we have plenty in the back. How many do you need?
So, oh, I don't know. How much are they? Piece.
You find out that he hasn't told you the cost of everything else, but the daggers seem to go for 4 gold each.
Oof!
Bah.
This guy's raping you.
Bah.
Are they encrusted with jewels? Like, what's going on?
No, they're just nice daggers.
Annie, don't worry about the price. We're using one of the gold bars here to front the cost for, well, the whole party's needs here too.
I look at Edgar and squint, and then I climb up close. What do you mean gold bars, Edgar? We created those a long time ago.
Oh no. And I pull out 2 and I like clink them together.
You see that the guy who's writing there kind of pauses and then scribbles again.
He's like, oh shit.
Shit.
It's like when you pull out the quadrizzle platinum visa or whatever. Like, holy shit! There's only 10 of those in the world.
Right, so I point at. Oh, I can't remember your name. I'm my bad. The dark guy.
That works. You can just call him that.
I thought you said dark guy, and I was like, the backseat.
Alright.
Well, you have a history of racism.
Looks nervously at Twitch.
No. Earl. I point at Earl. Right, so I'd like to look like him, kinda, only with daggers and not darts.
The guy nods and he says, "Oh, we could do that."
I mean, I'm assuming with there's some kind of bulk purchase.
Far less daggers. Then he has darts. He has darts like everywhere. I only want him in certain locations. You know. Right. You have them everywhere, right, Earl?
Oh.
Hello.
Earl?
He stepped away.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He's covered in darts, yes.
Yeah, picture, what is it? Those, the Indian, bead vests or whatever, but it's just all darts.
Like a wampum belt?
I'd like to look around the group while she's saying this. Does everyone look like they're in studded leather at the very least?
I don't know, but you're not gonna see really wearing armor.
Pretty
Right.
sure I'm not.
No, I don't have.
You could see to
Does
an upgrade, there's clearly studded leather here.
Do you guys want to all get a +1 to AC?
I have mage armor.
Oh,
Hello.
It's just always happening.
Okay.
I apologize.
I have regular leather.
Okay, so Kalik definitely wants a +1 to AC. Annie, do you have a studded?
No, I don't. I don't have my sheet, but I'm pretty sure I don't, because my AC's
10.
Hey Connor, let's look at my AC. It's
Tell
not
me-
fucking 10.
Tell me your ACT pain. How's it 10?
No, I was joking.
It is not 10. It's like
It is not. I love it.
It's 15.
I think that's studded. It's 12 plus 3 for your dex, right?
What?
Something like that, yeah.
What
I
does it
think
say
regular leather is
for-
Regular leather's 11, I think.
yeah, so it's
Let me
regular
see.
level. Yeah, 11.
Oh
studded,
yeah, okay,
12.
I have studded.
Okay, so
It's on,
Kalik,
it's on my note card.
Colcoat, do you have a studded leather? Do you use leather?
I'll just I'll knock on my breastplate. No, I've got about as good as I can get without killing my sneakiness.
Right, okay. And Erlebald, how you looking?
So, I've
Sharp.
been gone for maybe the past 10 minutes.
You're
What
in
are we
the
doing?
blacksmithy, and Edgar is
Okay.
flexing hard, holding a gold bar in each hand. And he's wondering if you want a studded leather set, if you only have leather right now.
Oh, I have studded leather.
Okay.
I bought
Did
that a
you
while
need
ago.
anything else? Do you want like a fancy dart?
Well, it would depend on what sort of fancy dart.
Well, I mean, so these blacksmiths are some of the best, if not the best in Solzland. If you had specifications regarding a heavy weighted dart, a certain balance that you were looking for, a certain fletching on the rear. I don't know anything about darts, but if they're anything like arrows, I'm sure
No.
there's...
I would say, Earl, since your trip to the temple, finding the old darts left there, you have at the moment what you would consider to be some of the best specimens, especially the magical ones that you got.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, what would such a thing cost me? I assume this is not for free.
Well, it's not going to cost you anything. We're taking it out of the funds acquired at the
He
estate.
lies. He wants you to kiss him.
Is it possible to trade her back for my two companions?
I lean in and whisper, "We'll work on that."
Wonderful. Well,
We have to go back to Seba first.
Wait, what is the gold bar to coin ratio?
Wow.
What are those even worth again?
About 1,000 gold each.
ay, ay, ay.
The shopkeep here, you know, he tallies up, and he says, tallies at 220 right now for all the armor sharpening, or sorry, armor polishing, the customized set of dagger holders, and a set of studded armor.
Right. I mean, that's a standard charge. We're going to talk about bulk purchasing and also possibly outfitting my estate. So that's something we'll revise, I'm sure.
He gives you a nod, and he says, of
Do you
course,
have-
nothing final.
Do you have any silver bullets?
Of course, plenty of silver weaponry. You can find them at the counter. 2 gold each.
Can I insight him? Does he look like he wants to bend me over and take me into Browntown? Since I've shown him those gold bars.
You can roll insight.
Yeah, it was definitely a
Never
good
heard
idea
that.
showing your hand.
I mean, it's the first time I have funds again. It's a special feeling. That's a 20.
20. Yeah, you think that he's being pretty liberal with his recommendations, you know, with given how much money you just flashed.
Right.
I mean,
I'll
you
look
clearly
at-
don't need all of it, right? So,
Yeah, I'll look at him. What was your name, son?
he looks at you and he says, Len's the name.
Len, look, I've been a noble here in Solzland for, well, as long as I can remember, and I've been on quite a few runs to requisition equipment, and can't help but feel like this is a bit higher than usual.
The standard discount's maybe about 5%. We could go down to 190.
Yeah, well, we'll look at that, but I feel like if I speak to the head proprietor here, tell them about the needs I have back at my estate for armor for my guard, I might be willing to reconsider. So we'll say even 150.
Make a persuasion roll, please.
Or does this guy have any
Has
rifles?
it been an hour?
Oh! Oh!
If it hasn't been an hour, you still have advantage.
25, but let me roll for the critteroni. 25.
He's holding the little notepad and he's like tapping it with his paper, with his quill, just like.
Now, 150 contingent on me committing to a purchase. I'm not hoping that you lower the price based on a wing and a prayer.
He opens his mouth and closes it, and then he kind of taps again, and then he looks at you, and he doesn't say anything, but he just kind of nods, like,
All right. Okay, so,
Do you have any rifles? Any good quality rifles?
And he kind of points at some on the wall.
Look, I've got my old rifle, and I'll put that on the counter. My pistol. I need a rifle. I don't need these anymore.
Gold Coat, do you remember those lightning bullets that we unfortunately could not purchase back when we first started adventuring together?
Well, yes, but I need the weapon first. I can't make it because I had to give my parts to the rats.
Oh, right.
Edgar would double take and look at him like, what the fuck?
It's just part of a deal to get them to leave Bosselux alone. Small sacrifice for our city's peace.
He looks at you and he says, "We could do a trade-in for these. You know, this one looks like it's in good operating order. This one's been banged up a bit. Here, how about you take a look at these?" And he shows you a couple of the rifles there, and points out some of like the nicer ones a bit further up the wall.
I bring out my pistol and my crude rifle as well. Do you have two?
He nods and
Let's
shows
get
you
two good ones.
that he's got plenty there available. And you guys can see that the base price tags on these are a little hefty. A little hefty. And the rifles seem to go for about 800 each.
Oh god, no.
Yeah, powder rifles are 500 gold.
So with the guns, what is it going to cost us?
Now, what are you trading in? Are these both crude weapons?
I have a crude powder rifle and a powder pistol. The better version of it.
Okay. I'd like you to roll luck to see what condition they're in.
Come on, son.
After all your time on the road.
Nat 20. They've aged better like a fine wine.
Oh, not the 4.
Damn.
He says, we could knock it down to maybe 600.
600. This powder pistol is. If you could have seen the things that this has killed.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Mackinac when you need him? He's got all of our money.
I go from like generally smiling to like wincing in pain now when I heard those prices.
What about parts? You got parts I can just make one?
Well,
That's got to be cheaper, right?
We do sell parts if you want to do your own work, but, well, what are you looking for? Just some bits for repair, or to build something from scratch?
Well, if you had stuff that I could add on to my old rifle here, give it a bit more oomph.
Now, right now, the rifle that you have is still a crude one, right?
Yeah, I got the crude one and the powder pistol, so I mean, anything that's... I'll
Would you,
try to improve either one, I guess.
Whoever's got the luck die, please roll that.
That would be you, Ashley.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I'm looking at the chart now, and one powder pistol is half the price of a rifle and does more damage than a crude powder rifle. FYI. The range is different, though.
Mm-hmm. But this will be upgrading it.
Am I rolling luck?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Connor's rolling it for me, but I'm touching the dice, so here we
Very
go.
good. What the fuck is that? You just dropped it onto his...
I don't know. It doesn't roll. Give me a second.
So
there we
laggy.
go. That's the roll.
Oh
That's the
my
roll.
fucking god.
An 11.
Okay.
Okay. He says, we have the parts. You'd be looking at about 300 to get this old thing fixed up. Now, you will
That
need a
would-
skilled hand able to do the work.
Oh, well, I've got 2 of those.
He looks at you and nods, like a, of course you do, kind of nod.
I give him like a confused look.
You don't know.
Should I add that to the bill? And he kind of like holds up his little notebook.
So, sorry, table talk. This would let me improve it into a powder rifle?
Yes.
Okay.
Would have the proper stats if you don't completely botch the whole procedure. In which case you'll end up not so good.
Well, I will not botch it. And hey, if I can get this fixed up, Caleb, perhaps you could just take my pistol. It is a powder pistol.
Oh fuck.
Frozen.
I hear vaguely
Coco,
Connor-based
would you
noises.
consider upgrading his rifle as well?
I could do the work on both, yes.
Could we say
Computer crapped out.
an even 500 for the parts if we were to purchase two sets, along with everything that we've included thus far?
He starts to glitch out.
Computer crapped out.
Oh my god.
Okay, we're gonna go to a brief 5-10 minute break here. This is the half point.
Holy shit.
We'll be back in a few, boys.
And the Mackinac from the grave.
Yeah.
And then you'll be saved.
I've got to ask if he has like anything to enchant my weapon.
I'll say he will give that to you for 500, and I'll be right back.
Okay, so 500 plus 150, guys. That's not bad.
Well, we can sell that pistol too, assuming assuming that I can do this. We'll just load up on any like kind of bonuses we can give.
How
one of
much?
the rolls.
I mean, it's your money. I'm trying to figure out what we can do on our end for our
What
party.
happened?
But how much money do you guys have, Catman Robotics?
So
Are you
Mackinac has like most of our money, and I'm not sure how much is on him. I got like 100 on myself that I can throw in there if we need. Oh, I guess we got the gold.
No,
bars,
no. We're using the gold for sure. I'm wondering.
Oh,
how
to see how much
I
we have
need to
left
keep
over?
Yeah.
So I have 100 on me, and Mackinar's got a lot more than that.
Okay.
Worst case scenario too, like I got this snake staff that's worth a ton of money. Worst case, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I think like between the 5 of us, we have 100 gold right now.
Oh
So,
yeah, no,
like,
we got we got money, and like I said, I think we got this staff appraised, and it was like I want to say it was like 1,000 gold.
Oh shit. Okay.
Can you
Oh,
guys hear me?
Oh man.
Ash, it's
No.
it's really
Is it
bad.
bad?
It's really bad.
Yeah, it is.
Choppy and slow.
Yeah, it's crazy bad.
You think this guy would have any?
Hang on.
You think this guy would have any like enchantment things? If actually
Is this
we're
better?
going that's
Yes.
Yes.
Crazy better. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, Connor, what's our data at? Because we're gonna have to go from data.
I'll get back to you, Aurilla, in just a second.
Okay, because otherwise I'm gonna have to go to bed pretty soon.
Okay.
But the internet shit out, so we can't roll as of
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
Seems like it's kind of morphed into a shopping episode, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Are
I
you-
remembered.
Sorry,
Huh?
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I remembered Kalek needs a diamond or something for some spell. Here.
I saw that.
Oh, for Revivify.
Yeah, we'll get that for sure.
Revivify.
How much is it worth?
300.
250, 300.
If
Is it a diamond or is it just 350 worth of diamonds?
let me double check.
Okay, so we're polishing the armor. We're putting our weapons. We're getting 2 rifle conversion kits.
That's for a difference.
Which is gonna be awesome for you guys, by the way. That's a fucking D8 to a D12.
Mm-hmm.
I need the free arm too, because I'm gonna try to jump around a lot with those boots.
300.
Wait, what do
gold
you mean
per.
your free arm? The powder rifle is still two-handed.
No, but you can hold it in the one hand when you're jumping around.
Oh, yeah. What were you saying, Soup?
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh.
I think Connor tried to say something.
Oh, okay.
I can't check because I don't have internet, but my character sheet just says 300 gold worth of.
I'll check the handbook.
Okay, so you both will have rifles. Our weapons will be sharpened.
You can sell. You can sell my crude pistol.
It says diamonds with an S, so not one, just diamonds.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought it was.
Cool.
300 value for diamonds.
Of diamonds.
Yeah, okay.
Makes it a lot easier.
Okay, so we'll say right now we know it's 650. But you're saying that you're trading in your pistol.
I got the powder pistol, so. And
I'd be willing to trade in my crude powder pistol.
Okay, and you're of course
price.
keeping Cold Code your top tier powder pistol, right?
Oh no, I can throw that in there too. If I get the rifle, I'm good.
I mean, we could maybe buy it off you for Connor. If Connor, do you want a pistol or a rifle, or do you just want one or the other? Or...
Probably just prefer the rifle.
Okay, so I mean, if that's up to you, Coco. We don't really need to offset the cost, but if you want to, I'm sure that'll put a dent in the cost for sure.
If we want to throw it in, it's all good. Oh, can we get a couple daggers too? Maybe I can fashion a bayonet onto the end of the rifles.
Oh shit, that'd be dope.
That's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll say, I mean, I already think Ashley is getting some daggers, but we'll throw more.
We'll just add a couple more to the daggers.
How much are the silvered bullets?
4 gold a pop, I think he said. Or 2 gold a pop, I forget.
I know the daggers were 4 gold a pop.
Yeah, so it must have been 2, I think.
Can I get just like 5?
Yeah,
for like
man,
emergencies?
For sure. I would even say let's get 10, just in case.
Okay.
Because 5 will only like be okay for one fight that requires silver bullets. You're probably gonna want more than that.
We should keep in mind too that Barjarga told us to get a lot of holy stuff.
I was gonna say that's what I was
fighting.
trying to say.
Well, what I'm hoping to do, just to loop you guys in on like big picture, is right now it's costing us 650, no discounts. If we can get a discount on like the powder pistol, like Coco was saying, throw in a couple extra things. I'm hoping we can get it for an even 500, everything in, with the powder pistol offsetting the cost. That leaves us 1500. I'm hoping, if you guys are okay with it, if I can invest like $1,000 in the estate and get some revenue going somehow from there, we might be able to help Welfare Wednesday get money moving forward, and even Catman Robotics if we stick together.
That'll never happen.
500 could be walking around money for all of us. We just split it even.
I don't know how beneficial it would be with now that we have the at least for in the interim here for the Herald.
The Herald.
But it would be cool if I could get that if I could transcribe like at least the tiny hut into my Book of Ancient Secrets.
Oh, does that cost you something?
Well, yeah, I'd have to buy a scroll, and then it would be 150 gold and 6 hours to transcribe it into my book.
Okay. Well, I thought you had the scroll, no? Or did we use it?
We had to use it against.
We used it in the June fight.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, whatever's left over, like, I want, like, 500 gold for all of us at least, so we have some walking around money, but whatever's left over, if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to put it in the estate so I can get things up and running and maybe start... I don't know how it works, Solution. What kind of revenue would I see from an estate like that?
That would depend on the state of the businesses that your family has running around. Okay. We would do those by luck rolls, and it could be as much as maybe making like a few, like a couple hundred gold per season, or maybe like thousands, depending. Right? It just
it
depends how well that's still set up.
Could we possibly do that like because I don't want to bog these guys down with admin shit for the Lyle house.
Mhm.
Is there a way for us to handle that either out of session or after the session? Something
Sure.
like that?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay.
We can leave the tabletop room up and then make a couple rolls and see what we get.
Yeah. Okay, so for now, the investment into the Lyle estate, I'm gonna leave that as an afterthought. For now, let's just focus on what it's gonna cost. The diamonds for Revivify, everything we need for the tiny hut, because that was a really clutch spell. We want to make sure that Catman Robotics has their sick-ass rifle, as do we. We want to get
Be
some...
loud.
Sorry?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. We're gonna want some holy oil for both parties. Well, we're just a party at this point. But holy oil. Radiant weapons are crazy expensive, so that's probably not worth it. You guys want to in the Discord? Just if you guys have any ideas, no matter how crazy or far-fetched, if you want to throw them in. And Arillo, did you say you wanted something enchanted?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I would like to have my halberd kind of like have like kind of like a holy kind of divine. Because
So
whenever we attack something, I'm always the one that kind of gets screwed over in the attack that I can't attack anymore.
Well, Ashes too. Yeah. I think she got settled with a weapon, possibly. It's just magic though, and considered keen. But for you, I asked Aleutian, and he just basically said it was hefty price tag, ritual with some heavy duty magic at a nearby church or something like that. There might also be actual places to create your weapon into a radiant weapon, but we're looking at a hefty price tag. So if you want it, we'll discuss it for sure. Because like you said, it does suck to just have physical damage. But then again, we might want to wait until after your temple, because there could be something dope there too.
Yeah.
You know.
I will say it won't be an empty quest, but I'm not going to tell you what there is in it.
Right. I mean,
Right.
you could just... Anyways, but I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
Yeah.
We'll try to figure it out.
Okay. Did we lose some people? How's the computer doing?
Ashley and I...
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm just...
Ashley and I won't be able to reconnect, so I might dip out. Just, not be an inconvenience.
Did the computer actually, like, explode?
No, my computer's fine. It's just the internet.
Oh, the internet dipped. You're on your phone right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I gotta
So-
plug my headset to church. It's about to die.
I'll toss in my crude powder pistol just to try to offset the cost just a little bit to sell it.
Oh, sorry, I'm back. I'll throw my powder pistol too. It's already been thrown in.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, thanks for coming by, guys. I know this was a temporary thing, so, it's all good. You do what you gotta do. Give Shadow a head pat for me, and
Sounds good.
We'll see you guys next week, I guess.
Yep.
See ya.
Adios.
See you guys.
Good luck,
You
guys.
guys.
Adios.
One thing I will say about Tiny Hut, though, if we do decide to do it, is
Bye,
that
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
See
Ashley.
ya.
Bye.
is that it has to be cast as a ritual. I can't just cast it like I did.
Yeah, you need 10 minutes.
It would take 11 minutes to do. But if we were out in the middle of nowhere, walking around, it could come in handy. Or I could see what other ritual stuff they have. It's just an option.
But
The other thing I
Doesn't hurt
kind
to
of want
look.
to do is see if we can get another sovereign stone.
Oh, it's expensive, dude.
It is. It was like what? They wanted like 2
It was
grand.
1,000. It was no.
It was 1,000
1,200.
plus that potion.
No.
Wasn't it?
No, because it was 1,200, and the potion offset it, and we ended up paying only a couple hundred.
Oh,
we
okay.
almost paid nothing out of pocket
That's
for
right.
that. It was also Devil Incarnate, so I mean, question.
Well, that was just the gem we rolled. We could
Yeah.
get it good.
Yeah.
It's pretty unrealistic.
But now, hearing that the estate might be being able to make some revenue, I'm just trying to think of how we can divvy up, like, the hardest hitting, most value that we can get out of the gold now, immediately. Revivify is a must. D12 rifles is a fucking guarantee. For me, that's like transforming a one-handed axe into a great axe, basically, for 2 members of our party. It's bananas. For now, once we do Aurelio's quests, I mean, I have magic weapon. I can't make weapons radiant, not anything other than my own, but I can make a weapon magical with concentration. It fucks up all my smites and everything, but if Aurelio's really in a bind, I can help him out. Otherwise, we can see what deals there are in Soulsland.
Yeah, the only thing that'll help me improve any sort of combat stuff would be finding, like, even if they exist at all, like one of those books that like ups your charisma by 2 after you read it for like 48 hours or something like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know those existed.
Yeah, they probably don't. It's the critical role thing.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm a smart guy. Do those exist, Solution, in your worlds?
What's that? Sorry, I was reading something.
Oh, like the not the Inspiring Leader book, but like the books that can buff stats.
Oh. I would say they do, but they're pretty rare.
I figured.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely exist out there. One group has one, but they don't know it.
Is it us?
No.
That was good. Okay, so right now we're for sure Kalik is getting leather arm or studded leather armor. Our weapons are getting sharpened. My armor's getting polished. We're getting 2 rifle conversion kits and hoping Coco doesn't botch those. We're getting extra daggers for Ash and a couple of special, I guess, long blade daggers for potential bayonets for the rifles Coco mentioned.
Yes,
We're getting
yes,
silver
make
bullets.
Sure. Well, let's hop in and get that squared away. Do we have everyone? I think. Soup, you there?
Yep.
Okay. We're all good then. And there we are. In the blacksmithy here, you guys are making a big purchase, and you're getting 2 sets of tools to upgrade a couple firearms, and you're also trading in your spare ones. You're also getting a set of studded leather armor. You're getting some armor polished up and some weapons sharpened. You're getting a custom bandolier for some daggers, with daggers, of course, and all that. Excuse me. I would like a... Was there anything I'm missing from that? Is there anything that I didn't
No,
get?
I mean, last I checked, here were the prices we've looked at so far. We managed to haggle down the 2 weapon conversion kits from 600 to 500.
Mm-hmm.
Polishing armor, sharpening weapons, daggers and bandolier for Ashley, and studded leather was a total of 150.
Yeah, so you guys are at 650 right now.
Exactly. That's not including silver bullets, extra daggers for the bayonets for the rifles. So that's the only things we're missing right now. Are 10 silver bullets and 2... I mean, I guess, like, you wouldn't want traditional daggers, right, Coco? You want, like, a proper, like, 10-inch fixed
Probably a
bayonet
longer
type of
one,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say
like those fucking Bowie knives.
you could get all of that. Make a persuasion roll. And
I'm doing that?
I assume you're talking to him, unless it's
Yeah.
Cold Coat who's going in here.
Yeah. Oh, I still have advantage.
Oh, the near 20.
Oh my god, double 8s. That's a 14.
14. Okay. I would say for the 2 bayonets as well, and the what's it called? The
10 silver bullets.
10 silver. Okay. 6. He offers the whole thing for 720.
650. So it's 70 gold for both daggers and 10 silver bullets.
If I offer up my powder pistol, how much is he knocking off for that?
I think it was 200 he was going to take off. So if you offered that, that would bring it down to 520.
Yeah, I'll throw the pistol in.
Okay.
Did you need powder cartridges, powder bombs?
I've got quite a few cartridges, and I guess I wouldn't say no to some bombs.
Table talk. I mean, there's always a markup sometimes, but website says 50 gold for 3d6.
Yeah, roll up.
DC 12.
Let's see what they're selling them for here. They definitely have some. Oh.
Thank God for the demon AI.
They're giving them away free today.
Yeah. Just giving them to kids on the street.
Just
It's
take
Black
it.
Friday!
Yeah.
Half off! Buy one, get one free.
Everyone under 8 years old gets a free grenade. They're going for 50 right now, which is a pretty good price. So it's 50 for a powder bomb if you want to add whatever number of those.
I feel like Arillo should have one.
Sure. Yeah.
Arillo, do you want a bomb?
Sure.
Okay. So that brings it
That
to
might-
570.
I'd like Cold Coat should have one, and do we want one for Kalik or Mackinac?
Kalik would probably like one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would.
So we'll add 3, I guess, for 150, bringing everything up
670?
670.
Okay. Is that the final?
So that's also 3 times powder bombs. Okay, guys, is there anything else you feel like you want? I mean, besides the diamonds for Revivify, the scroll of the hut, things like that.
Well, how much excess gold do we have, right? Like, because I would love some keened darts. For 200 gold, I can get 20. But I would want Revivify much, much more.
So right now we have an untouched gold bar worth 1,000. We're hoping to invest. I'm hoping to invest some of that in the Lyle estate so we can start generating some passive revenue. But right now we have 1,280 gold left from the 2 gold bars, not including any party gold whatsoever.
No, yeah, I throw darts. That's just a D4 times 2.
Does anybody know what Mackinac has?
I do.
Like for
No.
gold?
Well, here, Earl. I mean, if you have like, I think it'd be cool if we put in 100 for your keen. If you have 100 to match it, that way it's half off. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Can you afford that?
Well, I don't think any. I think literally all of our money was on Mackinac or stolen from us. So I don't think we have any gold. Yeah, I don't have any gold on me.
Okay.
No,
well,
I've got 100 on me. It's all good, Daryl. I found some in the last. I don't remember where, but we'll throw that in as well into the pool.
okay.
Did
So
you take this from my temple? Where else have we been?
I'm fairly certain that I did not. I want to say it was in the sewers.
How fairly certain? Coal Cove.
64%? If it was in your temple, it was off of the bodies of someone.
Never tell me the
Oh, you know
odds.
what? I found some outside of your temple buried with my crown. That's what it was.
Oh, alright. Carry on.
I'll look back to the guy behind the counter. How much for 20 keen darts?
20 keened darts.
Apparently, it's supposed to be 200 gold.
Yep.
As per Earl.
200 seems about right.
Okay. So that brings up the cost to 670, 970 total. 870 from the gold bars, 100 from coal coat.
And you should probably tip 30 to the guy.
Should I?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Alright, I'll tip 30.
They have a big bath salts problem in this neighborhood.
Alright, I'll give him a flat 900, and I'll give him well, I'll just RP it. Alright, so here's for you for helping us out, and I slide over 30 gold.
He gives you a smile and tucks the money away.
Actually, I would just slap the bar on the counter and ask for 100 gold back.
Sure. The attendant works quickly and makes his way through the stacks of coin in the counter there, giving you the change. He hands to you not only the little piece of paper that he's been writing, and he puts like a little copy of it on the wall, but he gives you an official-looking document as well, probably the most detailed receipt you've received, and it's got like the stamp, of the establishment and a signature or two on it. And when he hands it over, he says, "Okay, show up tonight around closing. We should have everything done. I'll put it at the top of the list."
I'll kind of like put my arms out and put my back to him as if like, if you can help me out, take my armor off here.
He says, "Of course," and he makes a motion, and a couple other people run over, and they clip off the armor there.
Now, that's a family heirloom, so please be careful with it. Mind the tip.
We keep all the armor in the best of shape, and
excellent. Now, is it possible
to
to generate a copy of the invoice and send it to the Bank of Soulsland to the Lyle account?
He pauses for a moment, and he says, "Sure, we could do that."
Just for bookkeeping purposes, thank you.
Of course.
Okay, well, we'll see you back at closing.
He gives you a nod and a deep bow as you guys step away. And making your way out of the shop, you guys know that there's going to be a really big set of equipment and new gear and all that jazz when you get back here this evening.
Just so you guys know, I am naked at this point. I have, like, my noble tunic underneath, my clothes and all that, but I have no sword, no shield, no armor. Just so you know. So.
You're just like me.
Exactly. And Mackinac not here, so we have no front line. Just in case you're trying to get some shit stirred up.
Let's go pick a fight. Fuck the Inquisition.
Waltz into their tower in your PJs and start talking
Fuck
shit.
you guys.
So
arrest me.
So Lucian, I guess the only things we wanted to do are get $300 gold worth of diamonds.
Okay.
And we wanted to shop for scrolls and see if we can get the materials to transcribe a spell along with a tiny hut scroll.
I already have part of it. I still need
or maybe, is it possible? I mean, maybe I would know this, or maybe we could just explore this as a party. But why buy the scroll? Would they have like written versions of spells that you can borrow to transcribe for 6 hours?
Potentially. You'd probably have to pay a fee to look into those books, though.
Yeah, but it's probably cheaper than a scroll, right?
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
You could definitely do that if you want. You just wouldn't have the instant cast copy in your backpack. But you could definitely go and see like a tome and then copy it out of there.
You cool with that, Ditch?
Yeah, I mean, you're just saying that I can't cast it instantly, like a normal spell?
No, I'm saying that, like, in your previous plan, you would get to keep that scroll, so you'd have a single-time cast of
one
it.
use, yeah. That would be fine, I would think.
Okay. So I would say the 300 gold diamond is something standardized, and you'd be able to find that after hopping into an arcane shop here or there. So you can add that and subtract 300. As far as whether or not that tome is easily available, though, or that spell, rather, that you can just pay to copy, I would like a luck roll. You step into a couple of arcane shops and ask around. They have people who are willing to let you look at scrolls and copy things down for a fee, but whether or not you find Tiny Hut available is another thing. So let's see what you get.
I'd be interested in like any ritual spells that they might have, at least just to look at.
Sure.
And then there's no such thing as like an improved wand or anything like status there.
There
But I think
definitely
it's you
is.
to roll luck.
But it's probably like crazy.
Oh no, I did the last
Yeah.
one. It's
Oh, is it me then?
You're probably
Yeah.
looking at like 1k minimum.
Yeah. That's
Nice.
14. Okay. Liamon's tiny hut is indeed one that's available here, and in a shop that's being tended to by an elderly man who's just sold you the diamond. He shows you such a scroll, and then rolls it back up. And you know that he actually has a few others here as well. Some classics like Detect Magic and Comprehend Languages. They're both available here as well if you want, as well as a couple others.
What are the others?
You find... Locate animals or plants, and you also find that he has Water Walk. So those are the 5.
I'll be right back while you're deciding that.
Okay. Water walk.
Now, some of those are more expensive than others. The most expensive ones, which are level 3 there, it looks like he's going to charge you 40 gold to look at those, and that's not including the cost of the ink and whatnot. I don't know if you have that already, but
I have a level's worth of ink, so I would still need 2 more.
So you could get that for 100. Yeah. So you'd be looking at 140 to get Liamon's tiny hut. It would be 140 for Water Walk. It would be...
Actually, it'd be 190 for Water Walk, because I would need another 3 levels worth of spells.
Oh,
gotcha. No, gotcha.
Yeah.
You were not talking stacking yours, just like...
Yeah, just if you were to get the
instead. Yep.
Because Water Walk is a 3rd level, Liamon's is 3rd level as well, and Locate Plants or Animals, he's charging 30 for that.
Yeah.
And the other ones he only charges 20.
That's alright. I have the other ones.
Nice.
I think I'll just take the, Liamon's.
Okay.
How much is the scroll itself? You said 300?
The scroll itself is selling for... it's a little pricey. He says he's selling it for 170.
I'll just take the, I'll just look at it.
Copy it? Okay. Yeah. So you're going to have to be seated here in the shop for a while. And given that it's midday, there's plenty of time for you to do so. He shows you like a little side desk there within the place where you can just sit down and do your work. And being a sort of old scholarly folk, he seems, you know, pretty kind and gentile when it comes to this sort of thing, and just tells you to take your time.
Cool.
When we're in these magic shops, do any of them have magic items?
Yes.
I was wondering if they had any sort of like little trinket things too.
I'm wondering, is like, I like my snaky stick and all, but if there's any other like magic items that I would be able to trade my stick for?
Make a luck roll here, please, to see how much this is worth.
Oh god damn you, dice. 6.
Okay. Quotes aren't too good. The old man tells you that he'd be willing to take that stick off your hands for 800 gold. Whether or not you want to do that is up to you.
I'm just more looking for trades of anything, if he's got anything good.
Sure, roll luck. Let's see if he has anything odd hanging about.
Here, have this puzzle box.
It's pretty good.
What would be the dollar amount on a randomized puzzle box, do you think, Lucian?
Well, these guys got one for like 200 bucks.
What?
And they almost died to it, so...
It must have been a real bad one.
it was quite the steal. He shows you a couple of things. One of which is a magical looking glass, and it's like a small little thimble-sized thing. And when you hold on to it there, he shows you kind of wave your hand, and it extends into like a full-sized looking glass, seemingly out of nothing. And he says that would be about the same price.
What does this thing do?
He kind of holds the thing there. It's like a spyglass that you'd see like a pirate captain using, sort of thing. And he's like, "Oh, it's a long distance looking there. Try it yourself." And he puts it in your hands.
I'll take a look through it.
Sure. Everything is quite magnified, to the point that you get almost queasy looking at objects in the room, because now they're showed to you so up close. But looking out the window, you can see across the street, down the yard, and look through like a window where there's like two people arguing.
Is there a way that I could fashion this to my rifle somehow?
Oh,
You could try, yeah. You would
Hmm.
definitely have to make a roll for it, but when it's not magically extended here, it's about the size of like a thimble, so maybe you could attach that and then just activate it or something.
God damn.
You know what? Yeah, let's try it. Let's try it.
Okay. With plans to make the world's first sniper rifle, you hand over this stick, and you can add a magical spyglass to your inventory.
Oh, I hope I roll well.
I mean, who knows? Maybe one of those conversion kits gets fucked up by you, so.
It's okay, we got extra money to go buy new ones.
Or I help him with it.
Yeah, sure.
Enhanceability, Tidge helping.
So, Tidge, you're going to have to be here in the shop for a few hours, you said, right?
6 hours.
6 hours. So you're
2
going to be
hours
set
per
up
level.
here while you guys are doing whatever else in the town. Colcoat, you get a hold of this, and you know that the parts won't be ready till tonight. But when you get a hold of them, then you know you might be able to spend the evening working on this idea you've got. Are you gonna stay behind here, Tidge, or are you gonna like agree to come in some other time to look at the scroll?
I mean, if everybody wants to run around and do stuff, I can finish this up here. I don't really have any other things I need to do.
Sure. So you deposit there in the arcane shop and get to transcribing, leaving the rest of you guys to decide what to do with yourselves. So are you guys headed to the tower? Or was there shopping, I think? I don't know.
I mean, the only thing would be, a magical weapon Arilla wanted to look into, but I'm sure we're looking
Ah, I see.
like 500, 700, 800 gold, right?
You could get Arillo's weapon silvered in the shop, and I would say that it looks like anywhere from 50 to 100 gold to get it silvered. If you want it to be a proper magical weapon, you're definitely looking at more, and you're looking at probably close to like 1,000 or more for something like that.
Would I be able to, maybe this is something we just fast forward and I ask like a local church or something, would I be able to assist in a ceremony as a level 7 paladin to offset some of the cost to make his weapon radiant? I mean, I would even be okay with expending my spell slots, my channel divinity, whatever, if I need to, but...
To make his weapon radiant.
Yeah.
I would say with the blessing of his god, you probably could. But it wouldn't be something that you could get and then hand to him, sort of thing, you know what I mean? It's gonna have to be from his god to him.
Oh, okay. So it wouldn't be something where I can just put holy divine energy into it and then he could wield it.
You could like assist in it, but without his god's consent, you would be unable to make such a thing.
Okay, and I guess Soulsland wouldn't be the best place since there aren't any Goliath storm gods.
Not really.
Right? Yeah. Okay. And would that cost anything? Would that,
Yeah, such a procedure. I mean, like, to initially check on it, to try and commune with him, would be free. But if you were able to attempt making the weapon, you'd probably be looking at a couple hundred gold at the very least.
Okay. Do you want to try that, buddy, at some point? Maybe when we're close to your temple?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're cool with that? That's fine?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I mean, guys, what do you think? I think we lost, no, we have Coco. We lost Connor. Do you guys need anything else? Coco, Earl?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. Well, I guess to the tower we go then. See if we can maybe get an audience with a certain professor.
Okay. You guys make your way over towards the tower. Some of your buddies have disappeared to the time lapse, and another one sits in the study doing a bit of magic work. The four of you make your way up towards the garden gates, and there, a couple of guards step up to you to find out what it is that you want. What do you tell them when they ask why it is that you've come to the tower? You know that they're going to set up your appointment, so you'll need to let them know what it is that you want exactly.
Hi, Edgar Lyle. We're looking for a scrying specialist, specifically one tailored towards finding items of power.
He
I'm not
nods
sure what-
and then opens up the gate to let you guys through.
Cool. Just table talk. Last I checked, we spent 900 at the blacksmith. After that, I wasn't really in the loop for pricing, so.
It's 140 for Liam's tiny hut.
Okay, that's including materials?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay.
I had
so
some to start with.
140, you said?
Yeah, it was 50. It was 100 for 2 things of ink and the special papers, and then
Dude, that's
40
a
for the
killer
scroll
deal.
itself, to
Okay.
use the scroll.
And 300 in diamonds, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's 12, 1340 total. Okay, sorry, we can keep going.
It's all good. You guys make your way through the garden, eventually stepping up towards the large gates that lead into the tower itself. Making your way through, you find yourselves in that circular room with the statues lining the walls and the teleportation circle at its center. It doesn't take long since the moment that you guys come in here for somebody to appear. You barely even get to kind of, settle into your spot in the room and stand about before somebody in a red robe approaches. And as he does so, he has a hood over his face, covering most of it. But he makes his way over and says, "So, scrying, was it?"
That's correct.
Very well. And he kind of motions for you to step onto the portal there. We shall speak of this in my office, then.
Okay. I'll gesture to the rest of the party. Can I insight check him? Does he just look like he's kind of...
Sure.
Because I'm a Lyle going into the tower asking about scrying. I just want to make sure that... I think Edgar would be on his... Oh, okay. 11, 16.
You get a sense that this man knows who you are in a way. And he doesn't treat you like a complete stranger. Not in the way that, he probably knows you, but knows of you.
Okay. And with my 16, do I know if he knew of me before he came down or after I mentioned my name?
I would say before. He definitely knew of you before. There wasn't like you told him your name and then he, reacted. He was aware of who you were the moment that he showed up.
I'll kind of whisper to whoever's nearby. Hush tone, definitely out of earshot of the old man, just to be on your guard.
Okay. So, do you guys all step onto that platform?
I would.
Yep, I'll follow them.
Okay. Stepping onto the platform, there's a brief shimmering, and the colors about you seem to sort of warble and turn blackish. And a moment later, you are all standing inside of a small study of some kind. There's a window that's clearly pointed outwards over Soulsland, and with all the rain coming down, the thunder and everything, you can see the dreary old rooftops out there. And next to that window is a desk. The wizard who had been speaking with you is already motioning over towards that and is walking up towards the desk. And when he makes his way over, before sitting, he kind of, leans over. He's got a bit of a crooked back, despite the fact he doesn't seem that old. And he kind of points towards some free chairs, and he says, "Take a seat."
Thank you. I don't mean to offend, but I do like to know who I'm doing business with, and it already seems like you know who I am, so could I have your name?
He looks over at you and he says, "Observant. Eldridge is my name."
And what kind of qualifications do you have here at the school, Eldridge?
I've been practicing divination for many years. You're looking for scrying, yes? It's a very familiar spell to me.
Although this one's a bit unique.
Certainly.
I'll let Erlabald fill you in on some details, but we're looking for an item, not so much a person.
He sits down across the table and tenses his fingers there, kind of like doing the Mr. Burns sort of roll with his fingers. And he clears the table beforehand, you know, clearly putting whatever work he had there aside.
I'll kind of ease myself into a chair here, get comfortable.
Sure.
And this is unfamiliar for me because I am right now in comfortable clothes outside of my armor. I pretty much only experience this when I'm sleeping, so. So, right, as I was saying, it's a family relic that's been stolen. I just would like to know where it is.
A family relic. Well...
Can I shoot out a divine sense here? I'm getting fucking
sure.
vibes. There's no real roll, I just know if...
No, give me 2 seconds here.
Sure.
Oh, Lucian.
Yes.
I am gonna have to hop out as it's 11 p.m. now.
Oh shit, my bad, sorry. I forgot that
All
you've got
good.
your own stuff.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's all good. We'll see you on the next one here. Thank you for coming by.
Alright, it was
care,
a lot
buddy.
of fun. Thanks for running it.
See you, dude.
Adios.
Yeah.
So you go to Divine Sense, and as you do, there's a brief boop. No, just kidding. We'll play Earl out here in a moment. But you can feel something odd. There is a presence about the man across the table from you, and you can't quite put your finger on what it is. You don't think it's evil, but it's tough to say whether or not it's really good either.
Are you a religious man, Eldritch?
I dabble. Now, this relic, what is it that you're searching for?
I'm gonna kind of not be visibly uneasy to someone who wouldn't know who I am.
Sure.
For my closer companions here, they might sense that I'm kind of adjusting myself in my seat here and feeling a bit off.
Okay.
We're looking for golden weapon, a dart.
He nods slowly. Yes.
I'd like to be scanning every bit of him right now. His
Sure.
intent, where his eyes are going, if his hands are shaking.
You can make an insight roll.
It seems like he's sweating when it's cold. Anything that would... Oh, it's terrible. It's 7.
The man's actions are slow and deliberate. It's tough to say what he's thinking underneath that hood, which he still keeps down, obscuring most of his face, leaving just the chin and corners of his mouth there for you to try and ply information from. He's a bit enigmatic in that way. Eldridge turns around, and he says, yes, a golden dart. Well then, how familiar are we with this item?
I'll look to Earl.
Okay.
Earl here is very familiar with it. It's a family heirloom.
I would say in
I've
his
heard a lot about
characteristic
it.
way, Earl is able to kind of describe the thing here. And the man continues, and he jots a few things down. And he says, this should be enough. Now, our prices for such a spell are 100 if I cannot find anything, and 200 if I can locate the object for you. Does that sound fair?
Fair, yeah. Yes, it does.
He he kind of rotates in his chair a bit and pulls some things up from a desk nearby and places onto the counter what appears to be some strange bones and weird crystals. And he looks at you and he says, "This will take but a moment. Excuse me a second."
Can I scan the room as he kind of shifts away from me? Just
Sure.
for any indication that something's out of place here.
Make a perception roll.
What would I be looking for specifically?
That's a good question. It might help to look and tell me what it is that you're looking for.
I guess Edgar would scan to see if the man that's before him fits his surroundings. Because I know
Sure.
that often these studies tend to reflect the professors in a way.
Okay, go for it.
And yeah. It's pretty high. I think that's going to be a 21.
The office that you're in right now does not have any sort of markings on it that would denote it as belonging to this man. As you were saying, sometimes people who have a bit of a scattered personality keep a rather, untidy office, that sort of thing. You try to look at him and point out whether or not it makes sense to be here. And what you end up thinking by the end of it is two things. One of which is that this man gives off very little info to begin with, and secondly, that the office is incredibly clean. Were it not for the table that has a few items on it, the desk over there is, well, it looks like it's been wiped down recently. The knickknacks are all carefully placed, not left scattered about. It's almost like this place has been vacant for a while, until you've all arrived. Now, a small cage of sorts is brought out, and you watch as Eldridge takes out what looks like a metallic wireframe and places it in front of him, and then drapes over it a black sheet. And within this little box that he's created, you hear him moving around the bones and the crystals, and a moment later you think you see a flicker of light that comes from the upper portion of his hood. After that, he pauses for a second. You hear him stop moving the crystals and bones around. And he turns to you guys. His eyes still obscured here, the light no longer there. But he shakes his head slowly, and he says, "It's not here. I'm sorry."
Does it seem like he's truthful in that?
Roll insight.
I would be doing the same if I'm allowed to.
Sure.
God damn it. Stupid ass.
14.
Can I re-roll that? No, I guess it's
Nope.
whatever's on the table. Yeah. That's gonna be an 11 for me.
Okay. Tough for you to say whether or not the man's telling the truth, Edgar. As for you, Colcoat, you get the sense that he is. But worse than that, you get the sense that there's something more in there. A look of recognition on the man's face that you find difficult to place. Edgar had been moving in his chair a little bit odd, and now you're starting to feel a little weird about this too. The man continues.
Would I see?
Oh, yeah?
I'd be looking at the party. Would I see Colcoat kind of pause as am I here?
Oh, I'd pause and like my scratching my chin a little bit, like thinking.
Exaggerated eye roll.
See, I haven't known him for very long, but I feel like I can trust his instincts so far. I've been using him as my eyes and there, so I would feel this as a confirmation of my suspicion, whatever it is. I don't know. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Okay. The wizard continues. He says, "I cannot find the object. It either does not exist, or it's on a different plane of existence."
Okay, well, how do we find it on the other planes then? Because we know it exists.
We can travel to the other planes and cast the spell there. And if we were to do so, we would be able to detect it once we choose the right plane. Now, there are many planes of existence, so this could be a costly process. But if you're willing to pay, I can move through the other planes. If you have some that you suspect more than others, you could tell me. Otherwise, I'll go through the elemental planes, and then through the heavenly and demonic ones, and gradually we'll run through all those known to standard wizardry. If it's on a demi-plane, then there's no luck to be had, if it's some sort of obscure one.
I'd like to try something here, maybe
Sure.
craziness. Keeping my eyes real intent on whatever I can see, I'd like to say this. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a character by the name of a June, but it might help us narrow down the planes we're looking at.
I don't know this man. I'm sorry.
Could I have seen, like...
Yeah, you can insight him.
Watch it be Gem and I shouldn't be suspicious. 15.
You can't tell if he's telling the truth or not.
Who else do we know, Coldcoat, that might narrow down the search?
Good question.
I believe a name of Reed was mentioned, a Celestine, even a Winter Lich. Many characters to play. Is any of this helping you, Eldritch? And I looked at Coldcoat directly, trying to make eye contact while I say that.
He shakes his head back and forth, and he says, "Sorry. The cost of shifting to another plane is 50 gold each. I'll happily run this if you wish."
What about, you know who? Could we try to find him? Looking at Edgar at this point.
Oh, we can certainly try to find him.
We do scrying for individuals.
I think it's
Well,
worth the cost, Coldcoat.
What about a man named Mr. Chow?
Eyes on this guy again, real intently.
He nods, and he says, "Well, the cost is the same. Shall I cast the spell again?"
You would know him, yes, as a member of this tower?
There are
Hopefully easier
many
to find him.
employed at this tower. I don't know all the names.
I have to say, you keep quite a clean office. We've been to a few of the other professors for other things before, and, well, none have been quite so tidy.
He nods and he says, "I like to keep my things in order."
Order. An interesting concept. Well,
Shall I perform the spell?
before we hand over some more golds, I have to say I'm having difficulty talking to a hood here. do you mind just bringing or drawing it up?
I keep my identity secret.
Is that right?
There are a few of us who perform the scrying rituals here in the tower. It is a contentious job. It's better for my safety and your own that you don't know exactly what I look like.
I'll look to Coldcoat.
Now that's not to say that we in the tower are involved in any nefarious business. Things are heavily scrutinized here, and I don't scry for just anyone or anything. That should be noted.
Oh, interesting. Why willing to help us?
Yes, is there something special about us?
No. The Golden Dart is one of many artifacts that people have sought to find over time. It's not the first time I've been asked about it. No.
You were just looking at that jungle, were you? You searched everywhere for it. Because it's not in the jungle.
I have scryed it there before, years ago. But it appears it is not on the plane anymore. No. It may be out there, still. And as I said, we can try some more planes, if you wish.
Does his voice or his cadence seem familiar at all?
You can make a history roll.
I'm actually proficient in that. Ooh, proficiency aside, that might not be enough. 10.
A 10. It's tough to say. You're not sure if you've heard this man before. Your inclination kind of points to no, but there is something weird about him.
Maybe that's just normal subterfuge.
So do you travel much, or do you always just stay in this this tower here, Eldridge?
He turns to you and he nods slowly. And he says, "Yes, I've traveled in my younger days, more so."
Ever been to Vossinex?
Yes.
Nice place, eh?
I'd agree. Though I prefer the outside. It can be cramped down in the city.
Oh, and it's been a much nicer place lately. When was the last time you were there?
I can't remember. Now, I believe we're getting off the topic. I'm here to provide scrying services for you all. If this concludes business, then I can have you brought back to the tower and through the gardens.
Well, Coalcoat.
Should we look for?
Yeah, I was about to say. I guess the question is it worth even looking? We have to suspect that the person we're looking for is with the item we're looking for, and if the item we're looking for is not on this plane, then perhaps the man we're looking for isn't either.
My only thought is, what if the item was used?
Could have been
if it was used on
consumed.
this plane, Chow could still be here. What about Garvad? We could try to track him, maybe.
Well, I mean, at this point it might be worth the investment regardless. Either or both.
At this point, the man seems to just leave you guys to talk and speculate. He kind of leans back, reaching into the desk. He pulls out a pipe and begins to fill it slowly.
Aragon style, do I see his face light up from under the hood?
Yeah, you can make a perception roll.
I just kind of picture you laughing to yourself. It's just like, guys, like it really just is. People who scry need to be secret. Like it's you're not talking to a Bill.
With this kind of quest, you never know.
17.
For a moment there, as he lights the tobacco here in his pipe and begins to smoke, you see a brief flare of the light against his face. And nothing seems off about it at first until you realize how the light reflects, and you realize that this man, though most of his face is, not on display anyway, the entirety of it is clearly a mask of some kind, and the way the light reflects is not the way that it would off of skin, perhaps some sort of fake substance. But it's a very convincing disguise. It's not until you notice this detail that you realize that he's talking to you from behind a mask.
Well, Cold Coat, Garvad. We could look for, like you said, Mr. Chow. June has been known to change skin before, so I'm not sure how we can track him. I mean, he could be anyone.
I just wish we had a better lead. Definitely do not want to just jump from plane to plane.
No,
It's like a needle in a haystack.
certainly not.
There are perhaps a dozen of the major planes. To check them all, you'd be looking at maybe 300 gold. It will take me some time, but within the hour, I can tell you if it's there.
I guess our main concern, or my main concern, is the planes that these characters have been inhabiting have been private, sometimes pocket planes, not necessarily major planes. How would you suggest going about finding them there?
A description would help, but without that, I could not begin to start such a search. We have recorded demi-planes here in the archives, but there are so many, well, the worth of your estate would be wanting to pay for such an expensive amount of scrying. I would not advise it.
I'll look to Colcoat and shrug.
I mean, I guess maybe just look once for Mr. Chow. If he's not on this plane, that at least tells us for sure we know where not to look.
He nods after taking a long drag on his pipe and puts it down, settling it into like a little pipe holder on the table. He puts his hands back into the veil and he says, "Would you describe this person to me? What do you know of him?"
Suppose that falls on me since Colcoat hasn't seen him, but we believe him to have been a professor here, specifically focused on the study of music and its relationship with magic. He lived here, he has a home here.
Very well.
And I'm not sure what else to say.
He might hum while he casts magic, and he might be an orc.
Or a half-orc. I correct Colcoat, the racist.
That may help. After a moment later, the same spell is concluded, and you
Can
hear
I
the sound.
divine sense as the spell goes off?
Sure. You can still sense something weird about the guy, but nothing in the room seems to change. When the spell is done, he turns to you and he says, "This person's not on the material plane either. I'm sorry."
Very well. Well, nevertheless, I thank you for your time, and I reach out a hand.
He gives you a bow, and he says, "I don't shake hands, but it has been a pleasure."
Kind of withdraw my hand slowly here. How tall does he look?
He's a bit shorter than you, maybe by a couple inches.
So he's a kind of a still not a mountain of a man, but he's pretty tall then.
Yeah, if it weren't for his hunch, he'd probably actually be taller than you, but it's clear that, time here in the study has done something to his posture. Or
And
perhaps that's part of the disguise, who knows?
What does his shoulders look like? Does he look like a...
They're kind of rolled inwards.
But if they were good posture?
Yeah, he'd probably be a pretty stalwart-looking gentleman.
And what color skin are his hands compared to his mask? Do they have that same waxy look to them?
They do, and they're both a sort of paley kind of white. Like somebody who has not seen sun for quite a while.
And he has no facial hair?
Yes.
much. And what color is robes? Out of curiosity.
They're like a deep red, like a crimson.
Well, Eldritch, how do we go about paying for your services? I
Is
believe
that
we owe
the
you
end of it then?
200. Well, not to undermine your ability in any way, but it's been a pretty fruitless endeavor so far.
I would recommend that you pay to search the other planes. You've come this far. It's, with most of my clients, quite useful to do the rest of the searching.
Eldritch, I'm gonna be direct with you because, well, I'm a paladin of Metchery and not exactly one for subterfuge. I don't really want to pay for the other plans because I just don't trust you. There's something off about you. My instincts have always been fairly reliable. I know you're wearing some kind of disguise, and for an older, supposedly frail man, I would almost say you have the same frame I do. Out of a warrior, a well-fed one at that, so while I appreciate your suggestion and your recommendation, I'm a little hesitant to move forward with it.
I see. Well, you're not the first client to be put off by my appearance and demeanor, but I would recommend that you scry a bit further.
I'll look to Colcoat, and even...
Is it?
Sorry,
Is this coming off like he's just trying to upsell us, like a car salesman, or is this like he's like, I think there's more out there for you?
Yeah.
Make an insight roll.
Could I do that too?
Sure.
Oh, stupid. Oh, there we go.
Oh my god, did we just roll both 19s? Holy shit. It's a 24 for me.
24 as well.
Okay. You can both tell in this moment, and you both recognize that you each recognize this, which is that he's nudging you on, and it's not in an attempt to like get more gold out of you, it seems, but like he genuinely wants you to ask him to scry more, and you don't think it's money related.
I'll kind of squint to Colcoat and like do a kind of like an arched eyebrow, like a question, like should we move forward with it?
Are you thinking what I'm? I think that maybe we should go on with this.
The man nods to you and he motions towards the chairs, and he says, "If you wish, I can continue. You know the prices."
Well, we've spent 200 thus far, and you said it would be how much?
Roughly 300 for the major planes.
I'll look to Colcoat and Tidge and Arillo here talking out loud. Colcoat, my only concern is, wouldn't our enemies genuinely want us to, well, expend all of our resources and our funds? I don't know how fruitful this will be.
We do still have the Mackinac cash fund. It's quite large still. And several $100 worth of expensive books back at you know where.
Okay. Well, this will leave us fairly tapped with the estate funds that I had left over, but I'm assuming we'll figure it out after. Okay, Eldritch. I'll stay standing, but go ahead.
I will have to make some transportation. Stay here in the room, and I'll return shortly. It won't be longer than half an hour. And then he kind of turns and leaves the room, leaving the four of you here alone.
Okay, Coco, what the hell was that?
I don't know. He really creeps me out, but it seems like he really wants to help us with some information.
We've been beset on all sides by deception. Whether it was Celestine for you, or this could be the Inquisition, right in the heart and soul of them, looking to know what we know. I mean, we're not flirting with the lines of legality here. I think we're well within our rights to do what we're doing, but it could be the Inquisition, it could be our enemies, it could be a June, it could be anyone. I mean, this very room, what we say could be monitored and listened to.
Yeah, if we look around, is there any windows in this room?
A single window that looks outwards from the tower. And you can tell from its angle, now that you're staring at it more, you must be pretty far up.
Can I go smell the pipe and look at it?
Sure.
I'm not gonna pick it up. I just want to look at it.
Yeah.
Without touching it.
The pipe burns with the tobacco, which is incredibly strong, and just a whiff of it is like, ugh. To somebody, are you a smoking man, Edgar?
Yeah, Edgar does have a pipe, yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a blend that most people probably wouldn't go to. This is something that like an experienced pipe smoker would probably have. Like, you know, somebody off the street getting into the hobby would find this as far too strong. Now, you guys look around the room a bit, taking in some details in the window, the pipe, etc. Before long, the door opens back up, and your host returns. He makes his way over towards the table and sits down. He has with him what looks to be a scroll that's rolled up. As he sits, he says, "Gentlemen."
I'll be standing looking at like a nearby bookcase with my back to them and just my arms behind my back here.
I have the results here of your scrying. And you may find them interesting. It is policy that you don't go through these while in the tower. So I hand these to you now.
Well, why can't we look at it in the tower?
Well,
I'll turn around and look at him, genuinely curious, because that's a pretty good question.
he puts his hands to the side, and he says, "I don't make the rules."
But I really want to look at it now. Can I just have a peek?
I can have you down to the gardens in a moment's notice, if it is itching at you. And you see he, like, reaches over and grabs his pipe.
Can you just tell us what it says?
No, I would not speak of it. This is your business. You can think of me as a sword or a shield. You're the mercenaries here who are doing the actual work. It is important that I remain just aside to this.
Coco, you thinking what I'm thinking with those words?
Yeah. I didn't like that word.
Me neither, man.
Now, shall I bring you down to the main floor?
It's an interesting blend for your pipe. Care to share what it is?
This is Wilson's blend from down in the city. You can find some, though most find it too strong.
Do you have any preferred vendors? I'd want someone trustworthy.
Certainly. I can write you a note. And he kind of jots down a couple lines on a piece of parchment and slips them.
I'd want to, like, if it's okay, like, I'd want to get close and see if I could read over his shoulder as he's putting it down.
Sure, yeah, you can do that. And he doesn't seem to move much when you approach. And he continues to write there. And while he's writing, as though he's cognizant that you've moved over to him, he says, oh, and the results, the scrolls there, it's very wet outside. Keep them safe and dry, if you would. Wouldn't want them to be ruined, after all.
No, after the price we've paid.
Of course.
Can I read what he's writing?
Yeah, he writes down a location. You recognize the 2 streets that he writes down and like a little address.
Huh. Does that seem like the type of place that would have a store, or does it seem like a purely civilian area?
Yeah,
or...
it's like in the market district.
Okay.
He hands over the piece of paper to you with the stuff there, and then he takes another drag and he says, well, through the door, and you'll find yourself at the main floor.
Well, thank you, Aldrich. And do I pay here, or do I pay in the lobby?
Oh, it'll be down in the main lobby.
Well, we appreciate your time, sword and shield and all. Hopefully we can move forward.
Okay. He nods to you, and you guys head through the doorway?
I guess so. I would definitely take a look back over my shoulder before leaving, just seeing if he looks up, or if he's just being weird.
He's just standing there with his hunch, smoking his pipe, one hand on the table as though to steady himself.
And his hands, when I saw them, they look just as aged, right? Because they have that makeup on them?
Yeah. Yeah, they look weird and kind of waxen as well.
Interesting. And would I have noticed his boots when he came in? Does he seem to have, like, slippers on, or...?
He makes very little sound at all when he moves around.
Interesting. Okay.
You guys step out and make your way through the doorway, and the shimmering effect comes upon you. Before long, you find yourself standing, not in the main hall, but in the garden itself. It's dark outside, and even though it's the middle of the day, there's plenty of cloud overhead, and rain just pummels down everywhere, lightning off in the distance. A moment later, an Erlebald disappears. Whoop!
Oh?
But why would this put this in the garden? Isn't that strange? Who do you pay in the garden?
No one.
I don't want to open the scroll. But I really want to
now, where
open
is
it.
the scroll right now?
Coco would have taken it, I think. He was the one. I was like off at the bookshelf when he handed it over.
Yeah, very like hesitantly, yes. Probably would take it.
So it's just clutched in your hand?
I mean, if it's raining, I guess I'll
Stuff
cover it
in
up.
here. Yeah. The 3 of you are left standing there.
Should we go back to Tidge? Does he know more about this magic stuff? Maybe he could make sense of some of it.
I don't think anyone can make sense of what we just went through. That talk of mercenaries and sword and shield sounded like Celestine, from what you told me.
She did call us our mercenaries. Because we did not dedicate ourselves as her champion. So the mercenary was the title given, but that made me very uneasy.
Let's get being under the shadow of the tower just gives me the creeps. Let's go back to Tidge and see what we can do.
Okay. You guys traverse through the town, and maybe an hour later get to Tidge. Now, Tidge, you're like just kind of getting into it. You know, you're 2 chapters through a 10-chapter book sort of thing when the door opens and most of the companions return. You know that moments ago Kalik and Annabelle had phased out, but it looks like Erlebald has as well, or is doing something in the city. You see the 3 return to you, and you guys are able to take little seats next to him as Kalik, you know, you're working away, but you can still chat.
I'm gonna check my purse here for gold.
Sure.
Is anything missing?
Nothing's missing.
In fact, there's more.
I'm gonna be looking. I'm gonna have like that 1,000-yard stare look right now. Like when I go in to see Tidge, not really sure where to start.
Tidge, your group looks like something weird has happened to them. Like it's plain on their face, like some sort of extraordinary thing has occurred.
Were you guys successful?
I'll look to Colcoat.
Yeah. Yes.
We're about to find out with you. Let's sit down. I'll go. Is there like many chairs next to Tidge? Like he's at a table?
Yep,
Yeah,
you can
okay,
join him
I'll
there.
sit. I'll
I'll just put that scroll down on the table, not opened.
Okay. Ominously, Colcoat puts a single scroll down on the table. A little waxen seal keeps the thing closed, and a small little ribbon.
What's this?
So-called results. We initially searched for the dart, yielded nothing. He did confirm that he had searched for a dart before, many years ago. That it was a common, well, not a common item, but something that had been requested. We searched for Chow next. No results were yielded either. And the man, I don't even know if we can call him that. He had a mask on. It almost looked like a wax film over his hands, his face, hood covering almost all of his features. The man was built like me, but seemed old and frail, or at least that's what he was portraying. He insisted that we do a search on the additional planes. And by the time it was ready to pay, we just found ourselves in the garden with no gold withdrawn. Very bizarre ordeal.
That is quite peculiar. It seems to have shaken you up quite a bit. Or at least a little bit, anyways.
There was something he said. He said he was simply the sword and shield, and we were the mercenaries. And, well, as per our conversation in Harold, that's exactly the type of word Celestine used to describe Catman Robotics before. My divine sense was all over the place, Tidge. I couldn't place a finger on it. It's very bizarre.
Would those words used in that way mean anything to me, or like maybe something I've read somewhere? Or...
I would say no.
Yeah, it's just talking.
They're vagaries, though in the right context, they could certainly mean something secret. Who knows?
Yeah.
I guess I'll do the honors here, and I'll reach over to the scroll, and I'll open it.
Okay.
I hide under the table.
All that's left are legs.
Fucking love Coco. I just see your crown quivering.
There's a bunch of writing here at the top of the page. Like most scrolls, this isn't like, you know, the standardized paper that maybe a craftsman would use. It's like the long kind of drawn out thing here. And there's a bit of writing at the top, and you can picture just that weird sort of slow motion with which Eldritch would write when, you know, you got him to write on that note. And you see his cursive here. It's long and sort of wispy ends to different letters, that sort of thing. And he writes at the top, I've found the object that you seek. It is in the plane of shadows, and you will find it there, though I was not able to locate where it is exactly. And that's it. That's all that was written on it, leaving maybe like a line or two at the top. The rest of the page is just empty.
I'd like to put it up to some light and see if there's anything hidden. I'm doing it old school. Edgar would know nothing about magical writing or anything, but
you hold it up. The parchment has got you suspicious, but you don't see anything. The light shines through it as normal. Why would he write 2 lines on so much paper?
Edgar, yeah. Might I see that?
It's... Yeah, of course. I hand it over. It doesn't make sense.
It just so happens that the librarians gifted me a little extra power here. I'm gonna use my Eldritch Sight and cast Detect Magic on it.
Please
Oh fuck! I'm in a magic shop.
Suddenly it's
Ding,
loud.
ding,
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 ding.
Okay.
There are millions of torpedoes closing in on you.
Ah, my head. Loads.
Make an Arcana roll for me, please, Tidge.
Sure. Oh, no, that is history checks. Never mind. 16.
It would appear that the paper is not magical, and your detect magic spell yields nothing. Though, at the same time, you do feel suspicious. And even though you spent the last while studying, looking at this thing does kind of give you a weird sensation. You can't put your finger on it.
There's more to that, right?
There has to be. This is a huge piece of paper, and he's only written a couple of things.
He was also insistent that we did not read it while we were in the tower.
That's
odd.
In the tower, and also he was very reluctant for us to get water on it. Perhaps whatever he wrote down. When I was a kid, my brother used to write notes, hiding it from my father, with lemon. And it would require an open flame to read. Dangerous, but it could be that.
Well,
it just requires a bit of heat. Not enough to burn it.
There is a
And it
candle
would be-
nearby.
And it would be washed away with water.
I suppose it's worth a shot if we're cautious.
With a steady hand and a bit of childhood glee here, I'm gonna very super carefully take the candle and even exaggerate how far away it is. Like it's gonna take a long time to get the heat there, but slowly inch it towards the bottom part of the
Sure.
paper and see if I can get something going here.
Painstakingly, you try this out, and nothing seems to happen. You even brown the paper just ever so slightly in that little corner, but nothing's revealed.
Guess it was worth a shot. Isn't Dominic kind of gifted with a particular set of eyes?
Well, he can read pretty much any language, but I don't know that he'd be able to do anything without being able to see it there.
I know there has to be more to this. What if we just take a drop of water and put it in a corner? Would that be too risky? Yeah. Given what Eldritch told us, I don't think that would make much sense. What are you thinking, Tidge? Is there such thing as magical ink? Something that needs to be revealed with a word?
I mean, there's definitely magical ink. It's what I'm using here to transcribe, but
Hey, maybe the guy that owns this place might know.
I was thinking something like that.
He's over at the desk if any of you want to go and pester him.
Sure.
Okay. You get up from there and make your way over Tidge. The elderly man looks to you and he says, "There's no problem, is there?"
Oh, no, actually, I was wondering if you might be able to help me out with something.
Yes?
I've got a scroll here. It's a rather large piece of paper that only has a couple of lines on it, but quite certain there's a little more to it. Do you know of any sort of, like, invisible inks or anything like that?
Yes, there are some. Common if one does not want to use a magical concealment. I have a few if you wish to purchase them.
Do you have a means of exposing what's written?
He shakes his head and gives you a sorry look, and he says, "They are expensive, and dispelling them or revealing them is a tricky thing. It's usually something specific. Sometimes you need a specific compound just for that one ink. I, of course, sell those keys with mine, but, well..." He kind of looks at the paper and then looks to you and he says, "I don't know if this is one of mine."
Do you often have dealings with...
He
those at
shakes
the
his
tower?
head and he just says, "No. Not really."
I have an idea. I'll be right back.
Are you headed
Might
out the
be a
shop?
Yeah, Edgar would kind of be possessed with an idea here. I
I'll
don't
go
know.
back and shake his hand or something.
Sure.
I'm gonna go to the No, this makes no fucking sense, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna run to the street corner, the
Sure.
vendor of the tobacco.
Okay.
And I'd like to go pick up some Wilson's blend.
Sure. You make your way off down the street. Meanwhile, back at the shop, are you guys doing anything?
Yeah, you know what? It's probably not going to help, but I'll pull out all the stops. I'll cast dark vision on myself and like put the paper in the dark and look at it.
Sure.
I'll use my etherealness to like go in the ethereal plane to look at it for a second.
Okay.
God damn, dude. You're boss.
Alright. Make a luck roll for me, would you please, Colco?
Oh! Oh, baby!
Oh,
You go over and do a couple of tests, and the most alarming of which is when you transfer to the ethereal plane, you see that the piece of paper that Tidge is holding there in his hand does not appear to exist. Now, off down the road, Edgar, you're making your way over, and you get up towards this little tobacco shop. It's a little hole-in-the-wall place. Basically, the entrance is a doorway with a sign above it. There's no, like, front window or anything like that. You sneak in through there, and soon find yourself in a cramped little room that smells richly of the different smoked leaves and such that have all been, hung up to dry or broken up into their respective little jars and such. There's a man there who is, just kind of seated, and it looks like he's reading over some paper. And he turns over towards you as you come in and says, "Need something?"
Yeah, hi. I'm looking for two things. One,
Of course.
my old corn pipe here is ready to be replaced by something proper. So anything, well, finely crafted, but nothing extravagant would do. Something
Certainly.
long-lasting and durable.
Have a few briar pieces, and most around 10 gold.
Okay, and the other, maybe against my better judgment, but it was recommended to me, Wilson's blend.
Oh, who recommended that to you? It's a strong one.
It's I didn't catch his name, but big burly man, about my height, maybe just a bit shorter.
Oh, yep. He kind of like shuffles over and goes ahead
Do you happen to
and grabs the
do
jar
you
off
happen
the counter.
to know who I'm talking about? We had a great conversation, but we just kind of went our separate ways afterwards.
Yeah, comes in every now and then. On the first of the season, actually. It's like clockwork. I see him every time.
Oh, he's never left you a name or a hangout or anything? No?
Yeah, nice man. Good business.
First of the season, you say? That's bizarre.
He shrugs and he says, yeah, I guess does his shopping same amount every time. Well, she just want couple grams here, or how about this tin?
Sure.
And he rings you up here and hands you a little bill for 13 gold.
Sure, I'll pay it.
Okay. He hands over to you this little briarwood pipe. It's much nicer than the corncob one you had, and a little tin of this very strong-smelling tobacco. Oh, have a good day out there.
Absolutely, and before I go, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same person here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come out with, like, a random description. I mean, I'm hoping he disagrees with me.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he corrects you. He says, no, it's a bit taller, shoulders out, and always with the cloak. Yeah.
Right, but didn't he have a black beard, black hair? No?
Mm-mm. No, not that I've seen.
Huh.
Been coming here for years. I'd know him. And he gives you, like, a reassuring nod.
Yeah, no, of course. Huh. I mean, I didn't know anyone else that smoked Wilson. This guy in the hood. Hood's always up, covering his features?
Mm-hmm.
Got some strange folk around here. Well, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
He nods and then sits back down into his creaky chair.
And, not really sure what I've learned. I'm gonna head back.
Okay. You return back, and the four of you find yourselves once again at the table with the strange paper.
Alright. Well, interestingly enough, I went to the pipe shop, Cold Coat, and got some Wilson's blend. Nice little pipe here. And, I mentioned our fellow, but not old and frail, but large and brawn, and the man did know who I was talking about. He said he came in every first of the month, or first of the season, I should.
Which season? This season?
Every
season is
season.
it?
I believe. Well, it's the equivalent of spring, right, Aleutian?
Yeah, you guys
Or
are
a
in spring
month.
right now.
Yeah, he said, like clockwork, the first of every season he arrived to stock up on the blend. The only other person I know of that has that kind of regularity was Celestine, no? You said that her powers waxed and waned based on the seasons?
Yes, we are to believe that she's more powerful in the summer. And then, we don't know how much less, but definitely not at her peak afterwards.
Definitely would be bizarre for her to be taking the guise of a man, but I suppose she's been tricking us thus far. I don't know what to make of this, to be honest. But I had an idea, so I'm going to stick to it. And I'd like to pack my bowl here with Wilson's and light it and take a nice deep haul.
Sure. Massive head rush comes upon you. And not enough to knock you out of your chair, but yikes. Strong stuff.
And I'd like to take a deep inhale as much as I can muster and blow it onto the paper.
Sure. Nothing seems to happen when you do that. The paper is still as it was before. Smoke wafting off of it.
Come on! Fuck. Well, I'm out 3 golds for a terrible blend of tobacco.
That was worth a shot. Well, maybe it's some water, like you said. If just like tap it a bit. Just a few spots here and there. Maybe something shows up.
Then again, if I mean, it could be that simple. We should do the corners or the edges in case we blot out some crucial information. Imagine there's a note here and we happen to, I don't know, erase an important fact. I'd be beside myself.
Okay, we'll just try just a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Just a little bit.
So you're just gonna, like, put a drop of water on it?
The tiniest drop.
Very tiny.
A baby drop. Okay. Where do you put it on the paper?
It is gonna erase it. Fuck!
So here's your
I'm
long
thinking-
scroll, and you've got maybe writing like up here, sort of thing, right? Where are you putting it?
Okay, let's strategically somewhere that would show some writing, but hopefully not something super important. The first few lines aren't going to be the
Sick.
most important, right? Like right at the top. That's probably the best, I think.
Ping where you want to put it. You guys are all like sweating, holding the little eyedropper. Like,
I'm legit
Up
having
here.
anxiety right now.
right there? Okay. When you do so, the water hits the paper, and immediately you see something odd. The paper goes like dark, as you would expect, saturated with water, but it goes too dark. It's just completely black.
What does that mean?
Coco, what did you do?
What?
Like
It's
that,
just a drop.
the spot
That's
where the
really
drop has
bad.
hit has turned completely black.
Wait,
Or
is
maybe
it
that's just ink.
yeah, is it a tiny enough drop where it could be just ink?
Maybe.
What do you mean,
Big is
maybe?
the drop.
Let's make it a little bigger.
How big would the font be? Like, give me an idea. Like, did we drop like a dime-sized water drop?
No,
and
no.
it's all black?
You did less than that.
Okay.
You know, maybe like 4 or 5 millimeters.
Just, maybe just a little more right above it to the side.
Just a little more.
Okay. You let go another drop. It splashes on the paper, then is immediately soaked up. And you see that the upper half of that drop is blank, and the bottom half is black.
Can I like take a finger and just kind of swipe down a little bit?
Sure. The moment
a
that
whole
you
lot.
do, Tidge, you see like a whole bunch of lettering that reveals.
I'm sorry, but we're fucking autistic when it comes to puzzles, dude. You weren't there for this, Doctor Killed by Death? I don't know what your name is, but we, yeah. This is the fucking desert all over again. We're fucking walking around trying to detect life to talk to snakes for 8 hours when Tidge solves the puzzle with the most direct solution ever. Fuck.
We've been there with the puzzles. Quite a long time getting that ship up and running.
Okay, well, here we go.
Yeah, Harold was a puzzle and a half, that's for sure.
So just like incredibly gingerly, almost like just slowly brushing a little bit of water
Hmm.
over it.
Okay.
Try and expose all the whatever's
Gently,
there.
the paper begins to turn, and you watch as its surface not only changes and reveals lettering and splotches of ink here and there, but it's almost as though the paper itself transforms, and from being a sort of papyrusy thing, it starts to almost harden and soften until eventually you guys are holding like a long leathern scroll.
Could I start scrambling and start copying it down on my own piece of paper? Because I don't know if this thing's gonna fucking disappear on us.
Sure, yeah, who knows? You're trying to take notes while this is happening, and Tidge, you're being careful to put it on. You notice that when you put too much water, the page almost seems to react to it differently than if you're gentle with it, and you try and kind of like ease little bits into it here and there. And when you do so, you've revealed maybe about half of the page when you go to make another swipe, and it just causes the whole thing to change. Like, even in areas that you haven't added water to, the whole thing swaps. And with your Detect Magic spell still going, Tidge, you feel a concealing spell suddenly disappear at that point, as though there must have been magic laid on here to keep you from discovering that it was magical, and now that has been gone, now that you've solved it. And in front of you, you see a few paragraphs of writing, followed by what looks to be a map at the bottom of the scroll. And we're going to end the session there.
Oh boy!
Friggin' just drip of water.
I don't even know what to say.
Hey guys, you wanna protect that scroll because it's raining outside. Let me go get some tobacco.
I thought you were gonna go like, cause he's like, use some like paste or something to get it off. I think you're gonna like shake his hand, take some of that waxy shit off of him. Try and smear
Hey
it.
Eldritch, real quick, hi, how are you?
Let me just do the whole double hand grasp and then just really tug it away. Oh, sorry. This is. Don't worry about cleaning that up.
Oh my god.
Well, congratulations. You solved the puzzle. I knew you could do it. And you've revealed something interesting. Next week you'll find out just how oh, wait. Next week's the week off. So not next week, but the week after that.
You son of a bitch, you teased me.
Table talk, though, I will tell you, it's big. But we're going to end the session there. Well done, guys. Some people had to dip out early, and I understand because it is late. But to those of you who stayed, thank you for doing so. Hope you enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for some more D&D. Adios.
Bye.
I really hope I don't fuck up the rolls on those guns.
Oh, yeah. Remember that. Remember that you got to go pick that stuff up and whatnot.
Yeah.
We go marching off with all of our stuff
Later,
left
guys.
there.
I'm going to kill stream here before I tell you guys something.